Tsukune Aono is, in simpler terms, a loser. He has no hobbies, fails every exam, and barely has any friends, similar to us. But somehow, his parents get him accepted into a school after stealing some random man's admission papers. Unfortunately, it's a school full of monsters, and if anyone discovers he's human, he'll most likely be eaten alive. If you liked Welcome to Demon School Iroma-kun, you'll love this anime. Tsukune Aono, starting this spring, he is scheduled to be a fresh year at an ordinary high school. At least that was his plan. At school, his friends discuss enrolling in co-ed schools and encourage him to pass the exam next year, unlike something you will ever do. Back at his home, Aono's mom calls him and tells him that his dad happened to run into a priest today, and it turns out to be a good guy. But this is what they are telling Aono. In reality, the form of information for new students falls on the ground by him, and Aono's dad picks it up and brings it home. His mother is happy as he won't have to wait a year to try again. That being said, he is now traveling by bus to a place called Yakai Academy. Instantly, Kayo, Aono's cousin, calls him as she hears about him enrolling at the Yakai Academy. She wants to tell him something dark about this school, but before she can useful in any way, the bus goes through the tunnel and the signals are cut off. As he arrives at the place, it is like a completely different world, and before leaving, the bus driver warns Aono to watch his back. Tsukune ignores it and tries calling Kayo again. But when the signals don't reach him, it makes him suspicious as he had signals before they went through the tunnel. Pressing forward, he heads to the academy, but a girl, Moka Akashiya, riding a bicycle, crashes into him. The accident causes Aono's nose to bleed, but he finds the girl cute and ignores it. However, she reveals that she is a vampire, and she can't ignore this smell and sucks his blood from his neck. Although, he just thinks that maybe she has some weird fetishes like yourself. Huh? Though her attention shifts to the form in his bag from Yakai Academy, which makes her realize that he is a student of the same academy she is a student of, he reveals that he is a first year, and coincidentally, she is a first year too. Moreover, she nervously asks him what he thinks about vampires, but in his heart he doesn't take this topic seriously and tells her that calling herself vampire makes her unique at least, and it is more interesting when it's way out there like that. Hearing that, she jumps on him excitedly and offers him to be her friend, as she was feeling insecure for not having any friends here yet. Aono is happy and finds this academy lucky for him, as he is going to be friends with a cute girl like her in school. In the academy, Tsukune Aono, a homeroom teacher, welcomes all the new students. She announces that she is sure everyone knows this already, but this school was established so that monsters of all the times and places could attend. She further elaborates that at this point, the planet is already well under the control of Americans, so in order for monsters like them not to get blasted by the art of freedom, the only option they have is to coexist with the humans. She then explains the rules of the academy, which are to be in human form while they are on campus, except in special circumstances, and never reveal their true identity to any of the other students. Hearing all of this, sweat coats Aono's forehead as he realizes that he is surrounded by monsters. Seizo Kamiya, one of the students, finds these rules boring as he plans to eat humans when he spots one, which makes Aono more scared. But the teacher reveals that it is not possible as for one, some well-known humans would most likely put shells in anyone if given a chance, just because they stepped on their toe, and plus, the school is enclosed inside a giant secret barrier that is so if any humans happen to wander inside, they will be eliminated right on the spot, though Seizo Kamiya smells of human. But everyone's attention shifts to the gate of the class when they spot a beautiful girl, Moka Akashiya, but to their surprise, she runs towards Aono, which makes all the boys jealous. It should have been me, not him! At break time, while they are talking and having lunch, Seizo approaches them and tries to force Moka to spend time with him. He grabs Aono and throws him aside, making him roll across the ground. Ignoring Seizo's demand, Moka rushes to help Aono instead of going with him. Later on, both Moka and Aono talk about this incident, and Aono has realized one thing: monsters are pretty powerful. While talking, Moka asks him what kind of monster he is but apologizes for asking as it is against the rules, though when Aono reminds her that she already told him, she explains that she didn't know about this rule before. However, when Aono expresses that she doesn't look like a vampire, she shows him the rosary on her chest. If she takes it off, she will turn into a scary, honest-to-goodness vampire, but she can't take it off on her own. Suddenly, Aono finally has some common sense and realizes that he has been talking to a monster, and he is in a very dangerous situation right now. So he decides to leave the school, though Moka stops him and tells him not to go, but Aono reveals that he prefers human schools. Being told that, she tries to convince him to not think like that, as she was in a human school in junior high, and she always felt different and hated humans. But when Aono reveals that he is a human too, and got it because of some mix-up, it shocks her. Though, because of frustration, he bursts out at her, saying he also hates to be friends with monsters. He then runs away to find the bus stop. Therefore, Mocha runs after him too but runs into Seizo instead, who turns into his true form, Orc. Hearing Mocha's scream, Aono stops, realizing it may be Seizo again. But going back cannot change much as he is still a pathetic, worthless human. Back to where Mocha and Seizo are, Seizo is torturing Mocha to turn into her real form. Though Tsukune enters the scene asking Seizo to stop this, but he throws him off the cliff. Though Mocha jumps to look out for him and expresses that monsters are worse, even her as she is a vampire and she would hurt humans while sucking blood. But all she ever wants is a friend, whether a human or a monster. Their attention shifts when Seizo again tries attacking them. But to save Mocha, Aono takes the attack. Because of this chaos, Mocha's rosary comes off by accident, and she turns into a vampire. She looks very intimidating, and even by looking at her, Seizo trembles, though she takes good care of him. On the other hand, Aono passed out, but when he wakes up, he finds Mocha in her true form, wondering if that was all a dream, but his attention shifts to the notice of the bus only coming once a month. As he is bleeding again, Mocha decides to aid him, but because she can't resist, she ends up sucking his blood once again. The next morning, Aono writes a letter to his parents, informing them about students in the dormitory getting their own rooms. He has finally accepted the reality that this is a school of monsters, by monsters, and for monsters. Now after getting ready for school, Aono's aim is to hide that he is a human from everyone for a month, as the bus comes once in a month. As he is walking around, there is a group of 3 students walking behind him, though their eyes shine when they see Mocha, as she is the beauty of the academy, but their sweet expressions turn into jealousy when they see her rushing towards Aono the moment she spots him. However, a suspicious female figure is spying on them. Later on, Aono and Mocha are alone, and Mocha assures him of doing anything for him, as he must be feeling alone as he is surrounded by monsters. Aono suddenly remembers how terrifying Mocha looked when she turned into a vampire, but she is really nice in real life. His feelings for her were building up, but at that exact moment, Mocha sucked his blood from his neck as she overslept and didn't have any breakfast.
It should have been me, not him!
Because of this, Aono freaks out and runs away from there. Pressing forward, Aono wonders what he is supposed to do in this monstrous school, and if that transition of vampire is the actual Mocha, but his attention shifts to a girl who is kneeling on the floor asking for help. Seeing her in that state, Aono helps her to stand up. Despite that, she rubs her body on him, though he ignores it and suggests she go to the nurse's office. On the way to the nurse's office, the girl apologizes to Aono for the trouble by referring to him by his name, so Aono is stunned and asks her how she knows him. For a minute, she stays quiet because of being confused but then laughs it off by revealing that they are in the same class. She then trips on Aono, explaining that it happens because she was born sick, though she again tries tempting him by rubbing herself on him and asks him to look into her eyes. As he looks into her eyes, she introduces herself as Kirumu Kurono, confronting that she wants to be his friend. As he looks into her eyes, it's like he is hypnotized. His body is moving on its own, and he is hugging her, saying that humans and monsters are the same, so he has no issue being her friend. He tries stopping himself, but he can't and is in a confused state as he doesn't want to do it, but all of it is still happening. Suddenly, Mocha witnesses the situation, asking Aono about the girl. But before he could answer, Kirumu answers on his behalf, telling Mocha that they are in the same class. Kirumu then suggests Aono get going and hypnotizes him again so he doesn't deny and goes with her. However, when Mocha tries stopping him, he rudely denies, saying she uses him as her breakfast so he doesn't want to wait for her. This is shocking for Mocha as well as Aono, as he didn't want to say all those things to her but still said it. In the class, Professor Nekonom is teaching modern Japanese literature, but Mocha is still stuck in the thoughts of that girl, while Aono decides to talk it out with Mocha, and on the other hand, Kirumu is smirking as she gives side-eye to Mocha and decides to act on her final move. After class, Aono searches for Mocha in class, but she is already gone. In break time, Kirumu confronts Mocha, telling her to stay away from Aono as she wants all the boys to be her love slaves. And because of her, the attention has been drawn. All the students see them arguing, but Aono arrives there and asks Mocha to come with him as he wants to talk about stuff. But Kirumu distracts him again by hypnotizing him and forces him to say mean stuff to her, like her using him and wanting to be his friend for breakfast only as he smells like a human. Aono can't help but wonder why he is doing all of this, but it affects Mocha a lot, and she runs away from there while crying. Later on, Mocha is sitting alone, and instantly a voice comes from her rosary, informing her about Aono just having fallen prey to the succubus magic look. It is called charm, and now she has got him eating out of the palm of her hand. The voice explains, when a man is kissed by a succubus, he becomes her prisoner forever, and she will proceed to suck the life essence out of him until he dies. So she needs to hurry. I mean, it could just be me, but that doesn't sound all that bad if you ask me. Back in the dormitory, Aono wants to go to Mocha, but Kirumu climbs on Aono to kiss him and hypnotizes him so that he can't move. But before anything could happen, Mocha barges in, though Kirumu turns herself into a creature that has wings, and she now wants to dispose both Mocha and Aono as they both are not letting her do her thing. Mocha throws Kirumu out of the window, but she comes flying and grabs Aono out of the window. Mocha jumps to grab him too, so now they both are holding on to Kirumu. The weight gets too much, due to which Kirumu drops both of them into the middle of the forest. Mocha asks Aono to remove her rosary so that she can fight Kirumu, but it is not being removed just like the other time when they had a fight with Seizo. In the meantime, Kirumu reveals that she seduces men to find the man she is actually destined to be with and then rushes towards them to attack them. But suddenly the rosary gets removed, and Mocha turns into a vampire and knocks her out, though when she tries to finish her off completely, Aono stops her, making her understand that Kirumu must have gotten the lesson and all three of them can be friends too because according to him, Kirumu is not a bad person by heart. Hearing such kind words, Kirumu starts crying, and the vampire version of Mocha also listens to Aono, wears the rosary again, and turns into a simple state. The next morning, Mocha and Aono spend time together, and Mocha tells him about the rosary talking to her, possibly due to a weakening seal. Aono assures her that her vampire version is also his friend and even offers her his blood anytime she wants. As they gaze into each other's eyes, they realize they care about each other. However, their moment is interrupted when Kirumu excitedly arrives with cookies, announcing that she has decided to be with Aono because he saved her the day before. Both Mocha and Kirumu start pulling Aono toward themselves, while Aono stands there unsure of what to do.
It should have been me, not him!
On another day, Aono writes a letter to his parents as usual, reassuring them that Yakai Academy is just like a regular human school. Although things start a bit earlier here, they still have the same crummy midterm tests. As the results are announced on the notice board, Mocha's scores are far higher than Aono's and the other students, which makes the students realize that not only is Mocha beautiful but also smart as heck as well. When Aono and Mocha meet, she gets to know about Aono scoring fewer marks, so she offers him to do combined study, which makes all the students jealous. Though an unknown student, Yukari Sendo, looks at Aono and Mocha while hiding behind a pillar, her attention shifts when guys from her class call her and congratulate her, as she is the undisputed #1 in the school. But they are actual bullies as they are jealous of her that she skipped all those grades to get in here at such a young age. However, she has a magical staff in her, and with the help of it, giant blocks fall on those guys, which makes them angry, and they try attacking her, but Mocha interrupts, telling them to stop. Later on, in the cafeteria, they all introduce each other, and it turns out that Yukari is 4 years younger than them and skipped grades as she is a genius, though she jumps on Mocha, revealing she has a crush on her. She keeps touching Mocha's chest, and even in the corridor, she doesn't stop, so Aono interrupts them, but because she likes him, she dramatically tells Aono that she is declaring war against a half-baked guy like him because she wants Mocha to herself only. And with her staff, she makes the things around them move to annoy Aono, and she even reveals that she is a witch, and from now on, any dirty boy who even gets close to her Mocha is going to get kicked away by her magic. Later on, being sad, Aono meets Kirumu, sharing everything. But instead of helping him out, she tries tempting him again. Yukari spies on them and uses her magic voodoo doll to hurt Aono, but as she keeps moving the doll, Aono's body moves as well. And he accidentally ends up touching Kirumu's chest. Just then, Mocha walks in and is shocked by the scene. But before things get worse, they all notice Yukari and realize she was the one controlling Aono the whole time. Subsequently, Aono seriously scolds Yukari to stop acting like this or else she will be all alone like yourself and no one will like her anymore. So she innocently says she is always all alone, but suddenly she throws blocks on his head with her magical staff and runs away from there. While running away, she remembers all the times she has been neglected by the students and was bullied for being a witch, and in actuality, she was always lonely. However, she runs into the guys of her class who bully her again, as they saw her revealing her identity to Mocha and Aono before. Back to Aono, Mocha and Kirumu are there. Mocha tries to make Aono understand that Yukari is just a child and lonely, but when he doesn't understand, she leaves. Whereas Kirumu explains to Aono that witches are halfway between monsters and humans and not really either one, so that is why people don't really accept her and witches are hated. Because back in the day, people used to have witch hunts and witch trials kinds of things. That being said, Aono realizes his mistake and runs to find Yukari. Meanwhile, those bullies turn into their original monstrous form, and they are lizard men. They decide to eat her, but Mocha arrives there to save her on time. Yukari acts tough and tells Mocha that she will handle it on her own. But Mocha makes her understand with her mind words that she is not alone, and being this young and acting so tough at the same time is not good for her. Still, those lizard men attack them. But their attention shifts when Kirumu and Aono arrive there too, and because of all the fighting and chaos, once again Mocha's rosary falls off, she turns into a vampire, and knocks those lizard men out. Yukari doesn't understand why they helped her, so Aono explains that they all understand that she was alone, and that is why they did dirty tricks because of that rage, but now she is not alone and they all want to help her. Afterwards, Yukari realizes her mistake and apologizes to the students for all the dirty tricks she pulled. Because of that, the students also felt guilty for all the things they said to her. However, Yukari ends up falling for Tsukine and dramatically hugs him, seeing that Mocha and Kirumu start pulling Aono to themselves once again. Now it is just the start of another school day at Yakai Academy, and as usual, Aono writes a letter to his parents, but today he writes it to his cousin, Kaio too. Today he writes that pretty soon it will be a whole month since he enrolled here at Yakai Academy. He has written these letters he knows will never reach them, and so many of them have piled up that he has lost count now. Though the question arises in his mind, will it really be alright if he just goes like he has been? However, he was zoned out in the class because of being worried about all of this. After class, Mocha asks Aono what was wrong but gets distracted by his smell as she wants to taste his blood, but Kirumu interrupts them. However, Aono makes it clear that Mocha is a vampire and she has a need for blood, so it is fine. Hearing that, Kirumu mentions that she also has some needs and starts rubbing herself on Aono, but Mocha stops her as she is a succubus, and if she kisses him, he will be her slave for life.
I'd make that deal.
I don't blame you.
Just like every time, their fight for Aono continues. After a while, three guys confront Aono, declaring themselves his enemies since they are all interested in Mocha, Kirumu, and Yukari. Each of them is the president of an unofficial fan club dedicated to one of the three girls. They all gang up on Aono and try beating him up but run away when all three girls come to save Aono. Back at the dormitory, Tsukine wishes to be strong enough so he doesn't have to rely on some bunch of girls to protect him. However, the next day, Yukari, Mocha, and Kirumu discuss with each other the weird incidents happening with them as those three guys who tried beating Aono have been following them lately. Though they decide to beat their asses if things turn out worse and will become Aono's bodyguards as well, as he really doesn't have the strength to stand up against them. Having said that, Aono's feelings are hurt, and all three of them realize it too. He leaves the gathering, but Mocha follows him to apologize, explaining that since he is human, it's understandable. But Aono knows he should be the one to protect them, but he is the one who is being protected by them. After saying this, he runs away. He then packs his bag and leaves the academy, though Yukari spots him while sweeping outside the academy, and informs the whole thing to Mocha. She realizes that he is planning to leave the academy, so all three of them follow him. Aono has arrived at the bus stop, and the bus is about to reach the stop. But he encounters those three guys once again, and they try attacking him one more time, but this time they turn into their monstrous form. Fortunately, he gets saved once again by Yukari, Mocha, and Kirumu, due to which he feels ashamed. But Mocha slaps him and makes him understand that they all are friends and helping each other, and being helped is a part of friendship. Yukari and Kirumu also add that he saved Yukari with his kind words and Kirumu when she was about to be killed by Mocha's vampire form, so all of this makes them even. Though their attention shifts when those three guys try attacking them once again. They transform into a combined form, merging their powers. With no other options left, Aono, just like before, removes Mocha's rosary, and all three, Mocha, Yukari, and Kirumu, teach them a good lesson. After defeating them, Mocha's vampire informs Mocha that the other Mocha seems to be crying out of loneliness after the very thought of him leaving, and the vampire is also grateful for him because if he wasn't around anymore, that would mean no more food for her. Kirumu says Mocha not biting him would be a good thing as she and Yukari hug him. Begging him not to go, Aono asks who told them he was leaving. Yukari points out that he has a packed bag, but he reveals that he wasn't going, and he just wanted some letters and stuff to be shipped to the other side. That being said, Vampire Mocha wears the rosary again and turns into the normal Mocha. Aono aims to become strong one day and protect everyone. But until that day, he says goodbye to his phone that won't connect to the real world. In the class, the professor informs the student the construction's been delayed up until now, but they finally installed a red payphone in the campus store that connects to the real human world. And on top of that, the bus that used to come here only once a month has had its schedule massively increased, so now it comes once a day. The information makes everyone excited while Mocha jumps on Aono to suck his blood as usual. Aono has joined the football team. He is dedicating the last drive shot to Mocha. The goalkeeper Morisaki jumps for it on the side but misses, and just like that, he makes his team win the match. Later on in his class, Aono blushes while thinking about himself and Mocha, while the professor announces to the students that they should join clubs. She explains that the mission of this academy is to prepare monsters to adapt to human society. Through club activities, they learn to sweat just like humans and come in contact with the arts they have developed, so they should use these activities to deepen their understanding of humans. If they want their transformation into human form to be perfect, then it is very important that they thoroughly understand the humans themselves. The professor reminds the student to hide their monstrous form. But when a student mentions that her tail can be seen, her expression changes and she gets embarrassed. Later on, at the new club members fest event, there are tons of clubs, but most of them are kind of scary, which makes Aono wonder if there is one normal club in this academy. Meanwhile, at another spot in the festival, a large crowd of students gathers as a woman named Tsukune Aono promotes her swimming club with other girls dressed in swimsuits. Aono asks Mocha to give it a chance, thinking maybe because of his swimming techniques he will be able to impress her, but Mocha hesitates a bit. When Tsukune Aono sees them like that, she offers Aono to leave her to join them alone, as she will be taking good care of him in many other ways as well. Her being like this provokes Mocha, and she decides to go along with him. As they join the club, Tsukune and Aono are in the swimming pool as she is teaching him the swimming technique while Mocha is sitting at the corner, trembling as jealousy is evident on her face. But when she sees Tsukune getting a little closer with Aono, she bursts out with anger, accusing him of joining the swimming club just to meet other girls. Aono tries to make her understand that is not the case, but Tsukune interrupts, telling her to join the swimming pool or leave. But she eventually leaves when little water touches her feet. On the other hand, both Yukari and Kirumu try seducing Aono, which makes all the guys jealous to their core. Aono has no interest in them, as he is still worried about Mocha. However, as Mocha leaves the place, the Rosary talks to her, calling her an idiot for getting so close to the swimming pool. Her body becomes weak, and she collapses on the ground as vampires like them are weak against water because water has strong purifying power, and it reacts with monster energy, and that is why whenever Mocha needs water, she neutralizes it by adding some herbs and then uses that on her face and stuff. The voice from the Rosary tells Mocha that this body is hers too because it is the other half of who she is, so she shouldn't push her luck with these stunts and shouldn't let herself get strung along by Aono. Back at the club festival, teams have been formed in the swimming club, and all the girls are playing games created by them on their own. The atmosphere becomes wild, with the girls acting extra playful and creating a sense of vulgarity. Meanwhile, Aono sits in the corner, lost in thoughts about Mach, though his thoughts are interrupted when Tsukune questions him if these introductory festivities for the swimming club are not to his liking. She then forces him to swim with her. On the other hand, Mocha is struggling, but the voice from the Rosary warns her to end her relationship with that human, as he doesn't understand a single thing about her and doesn't care for her. And even if she goes back, she won't be able to swim with others, but she just wants to be with him, so she decides to go there. At the swimming club, Tsukune forces Aono to stay in the pool when he tries leaving, and suddenly all the girls along with Tsukune turn into mermaids. They lure men into the water and suck out their life force. Mermaids are terrifying marine monsters whose very presence portends calamity at sea. Tales of these inauspicious creatures are well known among sailors. In some legends, they entice seagoers with their alluring looks and then drag them, boats and all, down into the depths of the ocean. Tsukune reveals she was after Aono from the start of the festival because of his irresistibly delicious, human-like smell. But just when he is about to be eaten by Tsukune, Mako arrives there, but she hesitates as they both are in the water and she can't go in. Still, she jumps in the water to save him but struggles. But when Aono tries helping her, Tsukune grabs him. While Kirumu and Yukari are busy dealing with the other mermaids, Mocha suddenly starts drowning. To save her, Aono bites Tsukune's arm, dives into the pool, and takes off her rosary, which turns her into a vampire once again. Tsukune and other mermaids don't take her seriously and try to splash water on her, as it is the weakness of a vampire, but Kirumu and Yukari help her to stop the mermaids. Tsukune's anger doubles, and she picks up a fight with Mocha but ends up crying in the corner. As the vampire Mocha gets out of the water, Aono tries helping her but instead gets slapped by her. She informs him about other Mocha crying her eyes out for him, and he doesn't understand a thing about her. As she leaves, Aono realizes that he has been taking her for granted. The next day, Mocha didn't show up to class, but later on, when she arrives, Aono apologizes to her and they decide not to be a part of the swimming club anymore. However, the faculty advisor of the newspaper club offers them to join her club. They agree, and because of them, Kirumu and Yukari also join them. The girl in the pool locker room senses someone watching her from outside the window. She calls out but receives no response as the shadow quickly disappears. Another girl in another environment is putting on her pajamas, and the shadow of the peeper comes into her room. She notices and looks behind her, letting out a scream. The next day, Mocha asks Aono if she can suck his blood. Aono hesitates, but she immediately bites him and sucks his blood. As blood comes out of his neck, Aono collapses, thinking that if Mocha keeps sucking his blood, he'll die from anemia. However, Kirumu arrives there, greets both of them, and instantly smothers Aono with her chest. She even makes him move out of the way when Yukari arrives and tries grabbing him. Meanwhile, a word is spread in the academy about a peeping Tom who has been secretly looking at girls while they change clothes. At the newspaper club, everyone is surprised that they are the only ones there. Ms. Nekonom assures them that they aren't the only members. The door opens, and a young man named Jine Morioka, the club president, enters, giving a bouquet of flowers to both Kirumu and Mocha. Nekonom then leaves the rest to Jin. He explains to everyone the purpose of the newspaper club. He elaborates that it is about reporting any new happenings at the school, and writing in the newspaper is what they would do. If it's for a story, they don't hesitate to throw themselves in harm's way. He then asks everyone if they have any ideas so they can speak up. While thinking of ideas for a story, Kirumu remembers the peeper and decides that they should use the paper to find the creep, so Jin explains the basic rule of reporting. They hit the pavement and start asking around. As the first rule of journalism, they put up flyers asking for information on the peeper in the school entrance. While Aono wonders what kind of a guy Jin is because he finds him kind of suspicious. The guy makes Kirumu and Mocha put the posters higher on the wall as he squats down on the ground. Witnessing this, Aono realizes that Jin is trying to look at the girls. He confronts Jin about it, but Jin denies everything. He pretends not to know what Aono is talking about and even accuses Aono of looking at them instead. This makes the girls upset, and they all leave the place. Later on, Mocha goes to the restroom, feels dirty, but at the same time wonders what undergarments she was wearing. When she tries to take a look, inner Mocha's voice comes from the rosary, warning her about that guy Jin, as she doesn't get good vibes from him and he is hiding a dangerous power. The same night, Jin stands on the school roof, looking at Mocha from her dorm room's window, saying that she is more beautiful than the moon. The next day, Aono tries apologizing to Mocha about the incident. But Mocha purposefully ignores him, though she knows in her heart that he is innocent. In another environment, Jin is watching two girls change in the locker room and overhears them talking about Mocha kissing Aono's neck, though the idea of it is grossing him out. However, he quickly vanishes when he senses someone walking by. It turns out to be Aono. The girls assume he was the one peeping, but he clarifies he was just walking by. Jin is sitting on the roof, deciding to strike while the iron's hot, as he now knows a sure way to get Aono away from Mocha. Aono is in the classroom, and Mocha and Kirumu are staring at him. He tries to explain himself, but they don't believe him. Kirumu looks angry because he wasn't looking at her, and Mocha looks sad, showing she might like Aono too. Aono leaves and finds Jin in the hallway. Jin says he believes Aono, which makes Aono trust him. He then leads him to a side of the building and asks him to peek through that window if he wants to make his relationship better with Mocha. Not thinking much, Aono listens to him, but it turns out to be the girls' locker room. Cleverly, Jin takes a picture and threatens to show it to Mocha and suddenly disappears. The girls find him and accuse him of being the peeper. Aono tries to defend himself when Mocha arrives and hears what happened. News of Aono looking at girls reaches Yukari and Kirumu, though they don't believe that Aono can stoop down to that level. The same night, Mocha is on the roof and Jin arrives there, tries kissing her, but she stops him. To look cool, he shows him Aono's picture of peeping girls, but at the same time, Yukari and Kirumu arrive there, revealing eyewitness reports of him moving drums, and he is declared the real peeper. Jin confusingly moves back and accidentally drops several pictures he took of girls while peeping. When he has no options left, he turns into his monstrous form, a werewolf. Jin attacks Mocha just as Aono arrives and tries to protect her. Though Kirumu warns Aono that werewolves are as strong as vampires, he still runs forward. When Jin sees him rushing towards Mocha, he trips Aono, making him accidentally remove Mocha's Rosario seal. Mocha turns into a vampire and tries to hit Jin, but he deflects the attacks with his speed because of the full moon. He moves swiftly, but when the moon hides behind the clouds, she catches his wrist and frustratingly kicks him, but the rail breaks and he falls over the edge.
が出てへんと俺の力出へんねや。
The next day, the information of the real culprit is announced in the academy, and once again, Mocha is distracted by Aono's scent. Whereas Kirumu and Yukari agree Mocha shouldn't suck Aono's blood, she does it anyway. The newspaper club has successfully sold all their newspapers for the day. Mocha decides that they should celebrate. However, Aono then wonders where Jin vanished, as he was with them until a minute ago. Kirumu suggests he forget about Jin, as he's probably hitting on girls or taking pictures of them. Yukari agrees with Kirumu, calling Jin the enemy of all women.
Oh, he just like me.
Jin is next seen walking with two girls, saying that the newspaper club is looking for models while he touches one of them. As they decide what to bring to the wrap party, a girl arrives there and asks for a newspaper. Aono gives the girl a newspaper he had in his pocket, though she calls him cuter than she expected before leaving. In class, Professor Nekonom is taking roll calls, but Shurayuki is absent again, but a girl enters the class. Surprisingly, it is the same girl, Tsukine, Yukari, Mocha, and Kirumu, who they met this morning. Seeing her attending the class, Nekonom introduces her to the class and explains that extenuating circumstances prevented her from attending classes up to now. After class, Aono, Kirumu, and Mocha talk about what to bring to the party. Kirumu begins rubbing against Aono again, talking about a homemade treat she has for him, but Mocha pulls her away with her. As they leave, Aono notices someone watching him. It is Shurayuki. To be nice, he asks her if he can help her with something. He gets to know Shurayuki is a fan of his work for the Yokai Gazette. She even shows him the scrapbook she made of his articles. He is flattered, but soon his expressions darken when he notices the comments in her book are abnormally obsessive. In the faculty room, PE, teacher Mr. Katsubo reaches out to Professor Nekonom for a girl refusing to attend class. The girl turns out to be Shurayuki. The math teacher, listening to the complaint, agrees with Katsubo, and they both suggest Nekonom keep a close eye on her as she has a very weird attitude, and she even caused a lot of trouble in her junior high school. Near the pond, Shurayuki throws stones and Aono cheers for her, but when he tries to leave, she grabs him, telling him not to leave. Aono is desperate to leave because of the party, but Shurayuki warns him in a dark tone that she doesn't know what might happen to Mocha if he leaves, as she wants him to be hers only. In another environment, Mocha is waiting for everyone else and Aono. As Mocha hears the gate open, she expects it to be Aono, but it turns out to be Shurayuki. She tells Mocha that she can wait all day, but Aono will not come. Water drips from her, and she begins choking Mocha. Mocha finds her hands so cold, like ice. Though she slaps Shurayuki, breaking the upper part of her head, that is all ice. Shurayuki reveals that the girl Mocha is seeing right now is actually a puppet made of ice. The puppet turns its right arm into an ice blade and tells Mocha that it's time for her to die. Mocha can't help but scream for Aono to help her. Meanwhile, the real Shurayuki has frozen the pond and is throwing Aono on it. Aono wonders what Shurayuki is and learns that she is actually a snow fairy who is able to bend ice to her will. Suddenly, Issy traps his body. Aono shivers in fear but suddenly hears Mocha calling him. When Shurayuki turns to see what is going on, Kirumu is carrying Mocha towards them. When Mocha was being attacked, Kirumu saved Mocha from the ice puppet by smashing the cake she made for Aono onto it. Instantly, Shurayuki tries to attack Mocha, but Aono blocks her. Believing he's rejecting her, she frustratingly disappears in a snow tornado. As she disappears, the ice becomes weak without Shurayuki's magic, and everyone falls into the water as the ice turns into water. Later on, Mr. Katsubo warns two students to go to their dorms carefully. He then wanders around and finds a girl crying. His expressions darken when he realizes it is Shurayuki. Back in the newspaper club room, Aono, Mocha, and Kiruma are wrapped around blankets. However, Yukari finds them some bunch of old people, though she senses a type of chaos outside. When she opens the door, they see Nekonom panicked, and she reveals that Shurayuki's gone and gotten herself into a lot of trouble. She turns Katsubo into ice, and he is right now hospitalized in the nursing room. But he is out of danger. Aono blames himself. If he hadn't been so blunt about rejecting her, she wouldn't have gone ballistic. He then decided to go out and look for her on his own, as there was something he wanted to say to her back then that he didn't get to say. Aono passes Jin on the way out, paying him no attention. But he tells the girls he got some snapshots for an awesome new scoop. At the cliff, Aono meets Shurayuki and explains the whole situation to Shurayuki. He tells her to come with him and apologize to everyone so that she won't get expelled, though she starts crying as she understands that no one understands her, not even him. Mocha, Kirumu, and Yukari arrive, showing Aono Jin's photos. They show that Mr. Katsubo was trying to molest Shurayuki when he found her. She was only defending herself. When Aono gets to know the truth, he feels guilty and apologizes. Shirayuki screams for Aono to stay away and summons a snowstorm, laughing and crying as ice puppets form, speaking different things. Suddenly, the cliff collapses. Aono grabs her, insisting he isn't lonely because of his friends and wants her to be his friend too. However, the ice puppets, created from her negative emotions, believe he is lying and say a real friend would die for her, while Shirayuki apologizes as she cannot control these puppets. Mocha rushes to help Aono and Shirayuki, but he accidentally removes her rosary and inner Mocha appears. When the ice puppets threaten her, they shatter with her power. Yukari explains to Kirumu that Mocha's monster energy is far stronger than Shirayuki's, which is why the puppets exploded. Inner Mocha then pulls Aono and Shirayuki up. However, Shirayuki refuses to thank her, so Inner Mocha kicks her and advises her to not go spouting off about dying until she has actually tried to live her life. Later on, everyone except for Jin is covered in a blanket as Nekonom thanks them for saving Shirayuki, though they feel colder than before and spot Shirayuki on the door. She even cut her hair as she felt reborn. Whereas Jin takes Shirayuki's picture and Aono thanks him for helping them out, but more photos fall of girls changing. Kirumu and Yukari beat him up for peeping again. Mocha then tells Aono that she's feeling thirsty and proceeds to bite him as Mizor looks on from the door. It is another morning at the academy. The math teacher, Ririko, is the center of attention right now. As the wind blows, her skirt lifts up, due to which students stare at her more. In math class, Aono is asked to solve a math problem on the board, but he has no idea.
わかりません
Ririko reminds him about the final exams, which freaks him out. Later, on the roof, Aono worriedly asks Mocha to tutor him in math, as he is always distracted in school. Mocha is happy to help him and tells Aono to come to her dorm room at night to study. Aono knows in her heart he won't be able to study with Mocha because he would definitely be distracted. Mocha assures Aono that she is always willing to help him because he always lets her suck his blood, and suddenly she then bites him. Instantly, Kirumu barges through the door, interrupting, saying that she can help Aono study also. Yukari lands on her via flying on a broom, saying that Aono will study better with her as she's a genius. Even Shirayuki appears from behind the door, informing that she needs help studying too, as she missed a lot of class. Although Aono wants to study with Mocha alone, Mocha invites everyone for group study. At the newspaper club room, Yukari gives a lecture on a subject, which Mocha and Aono understand, but Kirumu doesn't. However, Shirayuki is writing Aono's name over and over in her notebook. Mocha then offers to copy her notes down for Aono, but he recommends making a photocopy of them instead of writing. Then he realizes the school probably doesn't have anything like that. Mocha and he gaze at each other.
Mocha-san, Tsukune. Mocha-san, Tsukune. お前ら見つめ合いすぎだっちゅう
Kirumu being Kirumu interrupts again, asking Aono to be her tutor. It's evening. An announcement is made about the school building being closed in a few minutes. Aono and Mocha are getting their shoes changed. Ms. Ririko arrives, asking if Aono had club activities, but learns that they were studying. She is shocked as students together mostly goof off rather than studying. Mocha reassures her that they actually studied. However, she tells them only teachers are capable of teaching a subject, not students. Aono is then asked by Ms. Ririko to meet her for tutoring sessions the next day. The next day, Aono tells his friends what happened. Kirumu says Ms. Ririko is overly passionate about math and jealous of her breasts. This makes Mocha and Mizor glance at their own, while Yukari finds Kirumu childish, and they start arguing.
子供はあんたでしょう。ほら、このつるぺたおっぱい。
That evening, at the tutoring room, Ms. Ririko is in a tempting outfit. When Aono enters the room, he freaks out. Ririko is calm, though clarifying she is behind like this to motivate him. Aono finds it weird, but Ririko intimidates him, revealing she has noticed human scent from him and her after-class lessons are pretty intensive. Aono screams, and the sound of it can be heard outside the tutoring room. At her dorm room, Mocha assembles notes for Aono, as this is the only way she can help. The next day, Kirumu begs Yukari she needs to be tutored. But when Yukari refuses, Kirumu ties her up and drags her along. They run into Aono, who is acting weird and is mumbling math formulas continuously without even noticing them, and he walks away. Mocha meets him, but he is the same with her too, but when she tries asking him what is wrong, Ms. Ririko interrupts them and accuses her of distracting Aono and takes him with her. Afterwards, at the tutoring room, Aono is being tutored but suddenly mumbles Mocha's name, due to which Ririko slaps him with her tail and gets on him. Mocha ends up hearing his scream, because of which she rushes for him. Back in the tutoring room, Ms. Ririko reveals herself as a Lamia, using her tail's flower to put knowledge into Aono while shocking him to focus. Though Mocha opens the door, but Ms. Ririko knocks her outside. though this monster has the torso of a human and the tail of a snake. When Shirayuki enters from the ceiling, she reveals she is against her methods of teaching and tries to freeze her. However, Ms. Ririko throws candles at her, blocking her from helping. Witnessing this, Mocha hits Ririko with a candle. This makes Ririko's anger double, and she pins her to the wall with her flower-like appendage. This causes Mocha's notes to fall on the ground. Aono notices Mocha's notes and suddenly gains awareness of what is happening. He stops Ririko from hurting Mocha and apologizes for noticing everything so late. Before Ririko could use her powers on them, Aono pulled off Mocha's Rosario, releasing Inner Mocha. Inner Mocha questions Ririko if this is what she calls educational guidance and calls her a small-minded narcissist, intoxicated with being a teacher, so she is here to dish up a serving of real educational guidance for her and kicks her so bad that Ririko actually gets the guidance she needs. On the day of the final exam, Aono is stressed out as whatever Ririko implanted on him is gone now, but he thanks Mocha for tutoring him the few days as he did better in exams than expected. She bites him happily and sucks his blood. Pressing forward, Aono scored 89% in math. Shirayuki, she got 56%. Yukari, being a genius, got 100%, and Kirumu got pretty low marks, so she has to attend makeup classes. Aono has been waiting at the bus stop. When Mocha arrives, it is hard for him to look at her as he finds her too cute. However, before this, Nekonom announced that the newspaper club will be going to the human world as a club trip, but it is shocking for Aono, though Nekonom assures them as long as a teacher is with them, then everything will be fine. Back to the present, Aono wonders if he should be happy or sad about going on the trip with everyone. Whereas Mocha reminds him about her living in the human world up through junior high school, and how she hated humans the whole time. Aono realizes that the thought of going to the human world worries her a little because of bad memories, but she is also excited at the same time, and the reason is she is counting on him. As they gaze into each other's eyes, they are about to kiss but are interrupted when Yukari, Kirumu, and Shirayuki arrive there. Jin is not coming with them as he has to attend makeup class. He is giving exams under the invigilation of Ririko. He cries as he wants to join them too. However, their journey for the trip has just started. The bus arrives in the human world, making Aono excited. Kirumu, Shirayuki, and Yukari question his happiness, but Mocha quickly lies, saying he lived in the human world for so long. At the beach, everyone is playing with a ball and talking. Yukari questions Aono if he's really afraid of the human world. But Aono is not, as Yakai Academy is scarier. Mocha dives after a shot, which makes Aono wonder if she's okay. Mocha's fine, but she got a big pile of sand up her swimsuit. Aono is tempted by hearing this but is hit by a shot from Shirayuki. Instantly, Kirumu reveals she was beginning to suspect Aono was human. Mocha changes the subject. Meanwhile, Kirumu and Yukari get in a fight over her stealing her shots with the ball. Yukari takes her wand out, preparing to slam the ball down on Kirumu with a giant magic hand but ends up slamming Aono with it. Later on, Aono and Mocha sit on the corner of the beach, admiring the ocean and almost kissing before Kirumu interrupts. Kirumu invites Aono to swim, but he stays with Mocha, remembering vampires can't enter water. Seeing him caring for her so much, Mocha leans in again to kiss Aono, but Kirumu interrupts them and accuses her of sucking his blood. As they are spending time, Aono notices a sunflower field at a nearby cliff. They visit there and spot a couple, but the girl asks her boyfriend to go back as people have gone missing here. From what she has heard, all the locals say this place is cursed by a witch. Apparently, the witch got mad about some plans to develop this hillside, so she started abducting people right and left. When they hear this, Kirumu teases Yukari about her relatives abducting people, which leads to an argument. In anger, Yukari drops a tub on her, though a suspicious hidden figure spies on them. After everyone leaves, the unknown figure comes out of the flowers. She decides to report about another witch's presence to her ladyship. In the evening, they all prepare food, but not even a single person wants Yukari to help them, as she is younger and they want her to hurt herself. Being treated like this, Yukari sadly sits alone on a nearby rock. Suddenly, she senses someone near the cliff and decides to investigate, wondering if there can be other witches and if the rumors might be true. Suddenly, a shadow reveals herself and assures Yukari not to be scared. She is the same girl spying on them in the sunflower, introduces herself as Rubai, and refers to Yukari as her friend. After introductions, Rubai asks Yukari if they can be friends, as they both are witches. Yukari accepts her proposal, and Rubai hugs her quickly. On the hill, Rubai informs Yukari that witches have lived there for generations and that her ladyship plans to wipe out humans to protect it. She even offers her to live with them forever and decides to introduce her to her ladyship. When Aono arrives, Rubai assumes Aono is there to defile Witch Hill and attacks with monster plants. These are the evil plants, plant monsters who attack humans and animals and then devour them. But Yukari destroys them to protect her friend. Rubai feels betrayed because, according to her, nothing in this world could possibly be stronger than the bond of kinship between witches, so she summons more plants to attack Aono. Provoked by Kirumu's behavior with her earlier in the sunflower field, Yukari uses stronger tarot cards to defeat the plants. Because of the chaos being heard, everyone comes on the cliff to see what happened and is shocked to see that Yukari wiped them out on her own. Kirumu yells at Yukari for doing all of this alone, which makes her realize that deep down Kirumu always cared for her, so she informs Rubai that she can't go with her to stay as she has friends who care about her, and they then proceed to leave. Mocha and Aono are left on the cliff, so she tries kissing him. But he is attacked by Rubai again, who claims to take Yukari home with her no matter what it takes, as it is her ladyship's wish. Mocha screams, and suddenly her rosary seal gets disrupted, allowing inner Mocha to come out. Yukari is terrified, but when she turns, she finds Shirayuki freezing everything around her as Kirumu transforms and flies at Ruby. Instantly, an explosion erupts from Witch Hill. Rubai wakes up in the newspaper club's tent and suddenly remembers that the girls attacked her because she injured Aono. She quickly sits up and tries attacking them but stops when she sees Aono offering her tea. He then asks her to tell them her story and the past of that hill. She wonders where to start but proceeds to explain that the hill's a place where witches have lived since way back. They lived there in peace, never hurting anyone, just minding their own business until they came barging in on them. All that needless destruction, all in the name of development, is just another word for selfishness. It was a place they called home, but those humans ripped it apart. Aono suggests if she wants a home, she can come with them to Yakai Academy. By their kindness, Rubai is touched. Though she feels it is too late to change what she is now, when she tries to talk about this to her ladyship, she is caught in a bunch of vines. However, she assures her ladyship for never betraying her. In the meantime, realizing Ruby is missing, the whole group goes back to Witch Hill. To their surprise, Rubai has become violent and traps the girls in vines. She summons monster plants again, revealing they were grown to kill humans. Aono tries to stop her by making her understand, but she ignores him and orders those plants to attack them. Kirumu and Yukari free themselves from the vines and fight the monster plants as some attack Aono. Shirayuki freezes the plants that tried to attack Aono. Kirumu, Shirayuki, and Yukari are fighting against them, though Aono realizes that Mocha is still trapped. As he goes to help her, Rubai buries them in the monster plants. Being beaten by the plants, Aono tries to think of a solution, and as they move here and there in the darkness, he pulls off Mocha's rosary. While everyone begs Rubai to stop this craziness, she doesn't seem to hear them and retransforms the destroyed monster plants. They are even bigger now. Inner Mocha is also trapped by the vines, but when she sees Rubai attacking Aono, she removes it angrily from her body. Rubai keeps mumbling that it is her ladyship's wish to destroy them, which makes them wonder who ladyship is. Aono begins running towards the house but gets blocked by the monster plants. Kirumu and Yukari team up, clearing the path for him. Almost at the house, Aono is blocked again, but the plant monster is killed by Shirayuki's icicles. As he arrives at the house, following the vines, he tracks the room of her ladyship and tries to make her understand to set Rubai free and let her make her own choices. As Aono approaches the mirror, he sees something horrifying. Panicking, he grabs a nearby vase and smashes the mirror. Back at Witch Hill, Rubai has tied up all the girls, but when Aono arrives there, he tells her to stop this, as doing this won't help anyone because there is no one left to care anymore. Rubai angrily asks him to shut up and claims to be doing this for her ladyship. Aono asks her who she is trying to fool, as there is no her ladyship. Aono clarifies that he went in that house and her so-called ladyship was dead as a goddamn doornail. Rubai pauses and is in denial. She has been revering the corpse of her dead ladyship. Rubai then gets a flashback of her ladyship. Her ladyship realized that the things she set out to do were no different from what those humans did. With her last breath, her ladyship apologized to Ruby for leaving her alone again, though promising she will always be right here with her. Rubai was unable to accept the death of her ladyship, and she has been imagining her for a long time now. She doesn't want to admit it, and those feelings of hers created another Rubai and another false image of her ladyship that has been haunting her. Back to the present, an explosion of magical energy surrounds Rubai. Yukari recognizes the spell. If she uses that forbidden spell, she will never be able to return to her normal self again. The plant monsters combine with Rubai, which results in a giant multi-mouth plant monster with Ruby in the middle one. Yukari realizes that Rubai just went off the deep end. But then she asks Tsukune to get her magic wand and throw it at her. Removing the shoe from Kirumu's free foot with her magic wand, Yukari is freed from the vines by Kirumu's foot claws as she frees herself, Shirayuki, and Mocha too. However, Mocha becomes trapped in vines again, which burrow into her body. Rubai explains that in her current state, she can absorb the powers of other creatures and use them as her own. Mocha whimpers and tries to get away, but the vines fuse her to Rubai, take control of Mocha's body, and use her power to attack the others. Yukari tells Shirayuki and Kirumu they must destroy Rubai's wand to defeat her and free Mocha. With her magic tarot card, Yukari blinds Rubai, and Mocha gets a chance to break free. However, Mocha destroys her wand, which triggers a childhood memory of Rubai. Meanwhile, a powerful explosion occurs too. The next day, all of them are guilty for not being able to save Rubai. However, the bus arrives, and they all are shocked to see Jin stepping off from it while carrying Rubai. They are shocked and happy by seeing her, though Jin explains that he found her floating in the ocean. Summer break is over, and all friends are over at Yakai Academy once again. Mocha wonders if Aono wanted to visit his parents while they were in the human world, but he assures her that he is fine. She ends up biting him again when they stare at each other. Aono then decides to just try to have fun for a while and put all his energy into it, which the news club has printed up their edition, including their adventure at Witch Hill as well as the latest fashion of the human world. Shirayuki then arrives and makes Aono call her his Mizor Pai before Kirumu tells them to focus on getting the others' papers in print, which is shocking for everyone as she is too invested in this work. They go to hand out the newspapers at the gate but find 3 girls handing out newspapers of their own called the Yakai Square. Frustrated, Kirumu confronts them, wondering what they are up to, although they assure her that they are an official club, unlike their club activity. Suddenly, a student called Kato arrives and introduces herself as the Super Newspaper Club president, explaining that they already got permission from the school and they are officially a recognized club. She humiliates them about their boring articles and reveals that is the reason they decided to introduce their own brand of journalism. After the Super Newspaper Club leaves, the newspaper club tries handing out their paper, but students aren't interested because of the lack of color and swimsuit photos. The newspaper club goes to Professor Nekonome and consults about this, so it turns out the idea is to scrap the less popular one and keep the other. Kirumu's blood boils when she realizes it is between them and the newspaper club and those newcomers in the Super Newspaper Club. It is about which one is more popular, so she decides to prove to everyone they are the smartest and most popular. They decide to talk to Jin as he is the president, but she is not in approval of it as he might be busy peeping girls again. And it turns out she's right as Jin is actually doing it, but he becomes distracted by the Super Newspaper Club walking into the office of the security committee. The next day, Kirumu forces Yukari to dress in a maid outfit with her so that they can gain the attention of guys, and their scale of guys increases in terms of the sale of their paper. As a bait, Kirumu even gives cookies as a bonus to those who sign up for the Yakai Gazette. Guys are admiring their beauty, but their attention shifts to the 3 girls of the Super Newspaper Club again when they arrive in bikinis and offer free pictures of themselves in said bikinis to those who read the Yakai Square. Kirumu is shocked and wonders if they can even do that. However, Yukari points out that it doesn't even matter as they are dressed in revealing outfits already. Suddenly, a pervert student tries to harass her, but Kirumu knocks him out with a kick, but Yukari cries and runs away from there. In the news club room, Kirumu consoles Yukari, telling her that they have to come up with better ideas. However, Aono and Mocha arrive with Jin, who tells them not to mess with the Super Newspaper Club as he saw those girls meeting with the security committee. Jin explains, to put it in a nutshell, they are basically a more violent version of a disciplinary committee. They are all about fighting first and asking questions later. They march around campus keeping the peace and putting bad guys down by force. They may as well call them the student police, but they are the security committee because of power, as the Yakai Gazette's popularity has become a thorn in their side, which is why they created a rival club. He orders everyone else to burn the papers and leaves. Everyone goes to burn the papers outside. Mocha and Yukari go back to the club room to get the rest of the papers while Aono and Kirumu stay behind. Aono tries consoling Kirumu about burning the papers, but she is emotional about the fact that they put in so much effort into it, and the thought of burning them all just makes her very sad. The trio from the Super Newspaper Club arrive and say their mistress will deliver divine punishment upon them for not burning the papers. Just as they wonder who it could be, Aono and Kirumu are stunned when Kato pulls the papers away from them with a magic thread. Kirumu angrily asks them why they are spying on them and learns Jin is hiding something from them. Kato then tosses their new papers into the incinerator as her minions, who refer to her as mistress, keep Kirumu away from that incinerator. Aono rushes towards Kirumu to help her but is grabbed by the same thread from which she snatched the newspaper and hangs him in the air. Kato removes her school uniform, revealing the one belonging to the security committee under it while revealing her true form, a Joragumo. Kirumu recognizes the uniform and tells Kato that she knows very well about her identity now. Kato compliments her on being a good reporter but goes on to lie about the committee protecting and preserving the peace and justice of the school. Kirumu is then trapped in Kato's web and held in place by the 3 minions, now revealed to be insect monsters. Each one was from a club that resisted the committee, but they were turned into minions by Kato's venom. As Kato prepares to inject venom into Kirumu, she is stopped by Shirayuki, who distracts her with ice shards. Kato tries webbing her, but Shirayuki easily removes it before saying that she's not the one who's going to fight her. Mocha and Yukari arrive, and with Yukari's help, Mocha jumps up to reach Aono, and he then removes the rosary. In her, Mocha frees Aono and helps him to get on the ground. Kirumu frees herself, though Kato is frustrated that her prey was taken from her, wrapping silk around Mocha's arm. However, it is proven that she is very weak, and Mocha, as she plays with her tug of war, is drawn in for a kick. Kirumu gives her another kick that knocks her into her own web with her minions as they bounce off and crash, knocking them out. Aono decides to expose the committee to everyone, and the newspaper club agrees with him. In the committee's office, information reaches Kuyo about Kato being defeated by the newspaper club. It is pretty fishy how he looks up the files of every member of the club, even though everyone's monster identity is listed except for Aono. Kuyo smirks and then claims that they will soon have something interesting happen for the first time at Yakai, burning the files with a burner. To prove that the security committee is corrupt, now the newspaper club has begun to take pictures as evidence of their corruption. They beat up students for money and for getting bribes, but right now, they do not have an outsider who is an actual eyewitness to call on, as everyone is scared of the retribution from the committee for telling the school about them being corrupt. However, Shirayuki spied and found some informants, Fun Club Collection, the same guys who were after Kirumu, Yukari, and Mocha. She threatened them for stalking them for their whole life, so they spilled the tea. All of them go to investigate but are shocked to find posters of girls in their room. However, they get to know that they are not there, but instead a member of the new trio mistakenly informs them. The committee took them away, to which the other member urges him to shut up as they panicked in fear, and made the newspaper club put them out of the dorm room. At the same time, Kuyo, head of the committee, hears from one of his top henchmen that the trio they carted off in order to keep their mouths shut has some rather interesting information. The next morning, Aono looks tired from lack of sleep because of the investigation, and even Mocha can see it on his face. Seeing him like this, Mocha compliments him for being manlier than the first time they met. He then leans down so she can suck his blood before Kirumu interrupts them. However, Shirayuki tells them that she will stalk someone else to be the eyewitness. Outside school, on the roof, Jin is peeping on girls when he sees Security Committee Koyu walking towards Professor Nekonome's classroom. While they are in the class, Kuyo informs Aono that as of right now he is under suspicion of being a human. Everyone murmurs, but Kuyo further elaborates that he will be going under a security committee inquest. Mocha and Kirumu take a stand for Tsukune, as humans cannot even be in this school in the first place. Kuyo looks at Shirayuki, Mocha, and Kirumu, accuses them of equally being guilty, and informs them they are to come along as well. Yukari tries freeing them but is stopped by Jin, who tells her that she cannot do anything on her own. At the shrine headquarters of the committee, Aono is shown recordings of Seizo, Mr. Katsubo, Ms. Ririko, and several other students giving confirmation of Aono being human. Kuyo then shows Aono where his friends are. Kirumu and Shirayuki are being questioned but stay firm about the fact that Aono is not a human because a human cannot get into Yakai. Aono is then shown Mocha, who is actual evidence of him being a human, as vampires love human blood, and he has been seen sucking his blood. Mocha tries to defend Aono, clarifying his blood is just delicious, but it doesn't mean he is human. However, the person interrogating her threatens to throw pure water at her if she doesn't cooperate or tell the truth. Kuyo then threatens Tsukune if he keeps up this farce, his friends are going to wind up exactly like those poor fellows over there, the trio from the fan club. Actually, they are the ones who told the committee that they had a fight with him. But he is so weak like a human, so they kept on beating him, but never did he once transform into a monster. He then tells Aono to just tell the truth unless he wants his Mocha to end up like these three. He is then again shown that the interrogator has begun flicking water on her as torture in order to get her to confess. In order to save her, he admits that he is a human. Kuyo starts laughing maniacally, flicks his finger, and reveals that this shrine is deceiving, as inside it is layer upon layer of illusion and misdirection. They can present the illusion of a separate room or everyone together in one big hall if that is what someone wants to see. Kirumu and Shirayuki are shocked. Mocha cries, which makes Kirumu realize that Mocha knew the truth all this time and slaps her. Kuyo then orders his henchmen to toss them all out except for Mocha, who remains in custody in a special cell as she knew his identity all along, so she is guilty as well.
Aono Tsukune, お前の処分が決まった。死刑だよ。
Once Shirayuki and Kurumu get back, they inform Jin and Yuraki about the incident. Jin and Yuraki are shocked, but Jin was always suspicious that something was going on. Afterwards, Yukari is being asked by Kurumu about humans, so she explains that back when she was little, they all lived in this tiny border village located in a valley deep in the mountains, and she grew up hearing that humans were terrifying. At least that is what she was told her whole life. Kurumu agrees with her, as she also always heard that humans were miserable creatures unworthy of respect. However, Yukari tries to tell Kurumu something more, but Kuyo's voice comes over the speakers. He announces that they will proceed with the public execution of Aono, the human who infiltrated their academy. He, pursuant to questioning by their security committee, confessed that he was in fact a human in their midst. Aono is now being carried out for his public execution, and a large group of students see him being dragged. Students cheer for Kuyo as he brings justice to the academy, chanting "Long live the security committee" and "Long live the glorious Kuyo." Nekonom shivers as she worries for Aono, giving the death penalty, going way too far. Yukari is terrified by the news of the public execution of Aono and tells Kurumu to do something. But Kurumu keeps crying as she feels betrayed by Mocha and Aono. Outside, on the school grounds, Aono is tied, waiting for his execution as it is going to take place at 4:44 p.m. Below, in her cell, Mocha hears everything and begs for the rosary to come off, as she is terrified of what is going to happen. Meanwhile, Kuyo stands there smirking, waiting for the time of Aono's execution to arrive. The next day, as usual, Tsukune is having a wet dream about Mocha, but just as he is about to kiss her and have a nice ending, Mocha turns into Susan, and Tsukune gets kicked in the, well, you know what. When he wakes up, he realizes he's late, and runs to catch his bus, completely ignoring Kyokyo. After getting dropped off, he reaches the place where he met Mocha for the first time. Suddenly, he gets hit by a bicycle and falls down along with the girl. While getting up, his hand placement is super accurate and he ends up putting it on her mommy balloons. Instantly, she kicks him off, calling him a pervert. In the second moment, she licks his cheek and kicks him again, while our boy just had the moment of his life. A while later, he reaches his academy and the girls are a sight to see. First, Kurumu hugs him, suffocating him between her melons, which is an honorable way to pass away. Mizori spots her suffocating him and calls her melons balloons. The two of them are about to have a face-off over Tsukune, but soon gets stopped as Mocha intervenes and he's delighted to see her. Mocha right away begins to get closer to him, saying she missed him a lot. Then, without wasting any time, she begins to drink his blood. The first-year students are mesmerized by Mocha since they heard a lot about having sexy older seniors. The first years were waiting to see Yukari Sendo, Kurumu with the biggest bazongas, and the Ice Queen Mizori Shirayuki, the best of them all, Mocha Akashia, who is the smartest and the prettiest of them all. Then the girls begin to touch her in the places where your uncle used to touch you.
Huh?
Yukari, Kurumu, and Mizori stand wondering how the first-year girls took away Mocha with them, while Tsukune is on the ground, clearly stepped over by some mommies. When the class begins, Kurumu, Yukari, and Mocha are in the same class as Tsukune, and to their surprise, their homeroom teacher is also Miss Nekonome. Everyone was excited to see her, and she excitedly invited everyone back to the Yokai Academy. Ku is about to give some explanation, but a mysterious hand grabs him, which even comes as a shock to him. Later, while in the locker room, the girls discuss how the second year is tougher than the first year. As they open their lockers, a bunch of fan letters fall on their feet, surprising them all. Mizori opens a letter about having a stalker just like herself, which doesn't dazzle her much. When Mocha opens her locker, she gets drowned in the fan letters, and suddenly a letter falls on her head. She opens it, and it's a sweetly written letter, which makes their heart melt. After all that sweetness, the letter says that it will take Mocha's life. A while later, they sit at the library while trying to make Mocha feel better. Kurumu and Yukari then decide to go to recruit more members for the club, but they haven't seen their club's president in a while. They're sure he's again taking pictures of girls Victoria's Secret, secretly. Meanwhile, the guy lived up to his reputation and was actually taking pictures of the girls until one girl came up and kicked his camera lens. Later, Mocha and Tsukune walk through the corridor. Worried about leaving all the tasks over the three of them, they get stopped by Ruby, who recently started working for the director. Just as Ruby starts ranting about her job, Mocha and Tsukune find another letter for Mocha which is again threatening her for taking her life in the matriculation ceremony. On the other hand, all the clubs are handing out their papers for new recruits, while Kurumu and Yukari are actively working too. They spot the red-haired girl, but soon due to the crowd end up losing her sight. Back to Mocha and Tsukune. They find a letter on Tsukune's back too, and it scares Mocha all over again. Later at night, Tsukune and Mocha look at each other through the window, while Mizore looks at Tsukune from the bushes too. Mizore spots the same red-haired girl and attacks her, but she swiftly dodges it. The next morning, Mocha shows Tsukune all the letters she got overnight by the same person. Tsukune promises to protect her no matter what. At the matriculation ceremony, Tsukune and the group join to protect Mocha. Mizure mentions that she saw a red-haired girl while she was stalking last night. Suddenly, the wall falls down and two guys threaten the girls by transforming into monsters. They are after one girl who playfully keeps dodging them. Everyone in the group recognizes her. It's the same girl everyone saw, the red-haired brat. Mocha is worried when she sees her, and suddenly a chair is thrown in her direction and Tsukune pushes her away, accidentally taking off the cross she was wearing. When the cross comes off, she gets back into her real form, which the cross hides, a vampire. The white-haired Mocha greets Tsukune, and then goes off to fight the monsters, teaching all of them a lesson to act accordingly to the high school. Her aura is so intense that the monsters stand no chance against her and end up losing. After a while, she returns to her pink-haired form, and faces the girl who had been sending her all those letters. The red-haired brat, who reveals that she's her sister. Out of fear, Mocha holds Tsukune and begins to suck his blood again. Mocha faces her little sister Kokoa, who is here to take her life. Mocha doesn't want anyone else to be killed, so she runs in Kokoa's direction and the little sissy launches an attack. But Tsukune becomes the Powerpuff Girl of the day and saves Mocha. The intensity of Kokoa's kick was enough to break off tens of trees. She's a vampire with insane strength. The girls realize that Ko has not been a narrator but a minion for Kokoa. Kokoa then begins to attack all the girls again, especially running after Mocha. In an attempt to be a superhero again, Tsukune gets hit in the head by Kokoa and begins to bleed as if he's on his period. Kokoa and Mocha get attracted to his scent, and they get thrown off by Kurumu. But Kokoa gets up again. Before they could do anything, the PE teacher, Mr. Kotsubo and Ruby come running to them, schooling Kokoa Shuzen to head back to her classroom, or she's going to be punished, which we all want to see. At the nurse's room, Tsukune gets his wound healed while Mocha spills the legendary lore of her sisters. They were 4 sisters, Mocha being the 3rd sister and Kokoa being the youngest. Both of them had different mothers but used to live together. The sisters used to fight daily, and Kokoa used to lose every fight against Mocha, but still she wouldn't give up despite Mocha getting annoyed by Kokoa's persistence. One day, Mocha tells Kokoa that her powers will be shut off so she can go live with her real mom in the human world. Kokoa finds this unfair to her because she still had to beat Mocha in a fight. When Mocha is brought into the human world, Kokoa keeps chasing her, but Mocha's powers are sealed in a rosary. That chasing got to the point that Kokoa followed Mocha to the Yokai Academy. As psychopathic as this sounds, Mocha still takes the blame on herself for being the mean older sister who gave her sister abandonment issues. Mocha's mates try to comfort her that it's not her fault, with Mizore even offering to freeze Kokoa. Of course, Mocha denies, and when Kurumu is busy giving Tsukune a tour of her mommies, Ko appears again, warning them that Kokoa is about to show up again. With that said, Kokoa jumps through the window and turns Ko into her weapon by squeezing him. I wish I was Ko so I could be squeezed by a baddie. Koko turns into a metallic hammer and Kokoa tries to smash all of them into monster nuggies. They somehow manage to escape the room and urge Mocha to face Kokoa, but within 2 seconds Mocha gets scared. Kokoa doesn't stop chasing Mocha, and Tsukune runs with her, while some fangirls try to hold Mocha. Mocha and Tsukune swiftly run past them, and the girls get crushed by Kokoa. On the other hand, Miss Nekonomi is enjoying her fish while she gets approached by the PE teacher, with concerns related to Kokoa. Another teacher joins in, saying that Kokoa has been causing a whole lot of commotion while Miss Nekonomi tries to dismiss them. The PE teacher and the other teacher urge her to look into it since Kokoa is causing a scene right now too. Back to our duo, they find a place to hide for mere 5 seconds, but soon get spotted by Ku and he alerts Kokoa. As soon as Kokoa is about to hit them with her new Ko weapon, she gets stopped by Kurumu and Yukari. While giving their intro, Kokoa throws them away using her weapon, but Kurumu, Yukari, and Mizore are done playing around. Still, they get beaten up by Kokoa. As Kokoa is reaching her sister again, Jin and Ruby show up to save the day. Well, that was what they thought, because Ruby and Jin were just there to take some pictures for their only Just as Kokoa is distracted, the 5 of them hide in the basketball court. But Mocha makes up her mind to go face Kokoa because she doesn't want to keep dodging it. She goes off to find her sister, urging her mates to not come after her. Facing Kokoa, Mocha asks for a fight, which surprises Kokoa. Mocha knows that this is the only way she can get done with it. The fight begins with the younger sister summoning her weapon and unleashing attacks on her big sister. Mocha grabs a steel bar to protect herself from the harsh blows of Kokoa, but after a few strikes Mocha ends up losing to Kokoa. Kokoa begins to weep, thinking about her childhood with Mocha, how Mocha left her alone in a big empty house. Tsukune shows up, realizing that Kokoa didn't want revenge. All she felt was loneliness with her older sister gone. Kokoa turns to Tsukune and the group. and he tries to knock sense into Kokoa that she feels love for Mocha because she just wanted to see her, even if it was with a weird intent. Mocha goes up to hug Kokoa, and all the friends are happy at the reunion of the two sisters. Suddenly Kokoa grabs her weapon again and launches an attack on Mocha. Just when the girls think that Tsukune and Mocha are flattened into a Krabby Patty, the weapon gets lifted. The true version of Mocha is revealed. In just a kick, she throws Kokoa away, and Kokoa is seen full of emotions, which scares the group, but Mocha is ready to face it. Just as the attack is about to be launched, Kokoa hugs the white-haired Mocha, crying how bad she wanted to see her and not the regular version of her, while squeezing her face into her soft, juicy melons. Mocha detaches her from herself, saying that she can't be that anymore. Her true version now is the polite Mocha, and turns back to her pink-haired version. Kokoa cries, wanting her sister to get back to what she used to be, promising herself that she will somehow work a way out to get her sister back. Later, Tsukune and the group carry her to take her to the nurse's room. But Mocha could smell blood on Tsukune, and she instantly bites him, slurping off his blood. Tsukune's schoolmates ask him who he is going to bring to the school, which Miss Nekomone earlier mentioned, the Parents' Day. Nervously, Tsukune lies and says that his parents are busy and the school is far away, so they won't be coming. His mates joke around, saying that they would love to meet his mom, and he gets angry. His anger is calmed down by Mocha, who wants to meet his mom too, and he starts to daydream right away. The two of them look at Saizo, who is looking grumpier than usual. But his grumpiness goes away when he sees his parents. Tsukune asks Mocha who will come to visit her, and she says that she never had her parents visiting her on Parents' Day. So she wants to go and check up on her little sister. But Kokoa shows up, smashing Tsukune, saying she doesn't want any sympathy. Later, when Tsukune is fixing his face, Mocha assures him that nobody ever came to visit her, but she's used to it now. They feel like they're on the same boat since they both have the same circumstances. Mocha comes closer to Tsukune, but Mizore shows up, scaring them. Mizore asks Tsukune to meet her mom because she keeps nagging. Mizore's mom stares at him the same way her daughter does and introduces herself as Turara. Mizore lied to her that Tsukune is her boyfriend, which makes Mocha jealous and feel left out. Turara wonders who Mocha is, and Mizore says that she's just a wannabe groupie. As if this wasn't enough, Kurumu shows up with her mommy, introducing Tsukune as her fiancé. Her mom instantly grabs him and smashes his face into her mommy's. They're definitely softer and better than those of Kurumu's. He's a lucky bastard. She reveals a secret about Kurumu, that she's completely inexperienced. That's a rare thing in 2025. Then Yukari comes in with her parents, Ruby being happy to see fellow witches. The twist comes in when Surara and Kurumu's mom face each other, giving a vibe that they might get into a fight. As they are stepping out, they keep pestering each other to start a fight. Tsukune asks their daughters about the beef, but the two of them beg and fight over Tsukune to be either Kurumu's fiancé or Mizore's boyfriend. When the PE session starts, Mocha plays tennis really well, winning hearts, while her small dress is helping in winning hearts. Then Kurumu and Mizore play, but Mizore doesn't even try to win. Instantly their mothers call for them. Kurumu's mom urges her to do the deed with Tsukune, so he permanently becomes her partner, despite Kurumu mentioning that they haven't even kissed. Meanwhile, Tsurara urges her daughter to freeze Tsukune so he forever stays with her, being unable to go anywhere. Both of the mothers are scheming. A while later, Mizore calls for Tsukune, and when Tsukune shows up, she freezes him. But luckily he gets spotted by Mocha, Kurumu, and Yukari. Mizore thought this was an act of love, but Yukari unfreezes him. Then Kurumu jumps on him, rubbing herself on her, tempting him to do her. Yukari saves him again by slamming a pan on Kurumu's head. Both of the mothers look at each other from their hiding spot. Then back to class, Miss Nekomone asks Kurumu and Mizore questions, and both of them were unable to answer it. The mothers keep trying to take a place further, and they keep moving to the point they are right in front of Miss Nekomone. After that, Mizore sings in her lesson, expressing her love for Tsukune, and getting so driven in singing that she freezes the entire class by the time she is done, leaving only her mother applauding for her. Then Kurumu sings, and her song sounds so sad that it makes the entire class weep. The class ends, and the mothers urge them to go to dinner together with Tsukune. Since they speak in unison, they begin to fight over who will take Tsukune for dinner with them. Somehow they all end up together having dinner. Tsukune feels like he's sitting on a nail bed while being around mommies. The boy has got some mommy issues now. The situation has gotten to the point that the girls revealed that they were lying about Tsukune being their love affair. But the moms are already locked in a battle now. The entire place is in complete ruins, and now the matter is on their egos. It seems like they are fighting over a boy long ago, who used to be like Tsukune. His name was Gonzo, and he was interested in neither of them. Accidentally, Tsukune ends up removing Mocha's rosary, and Mocha confronts the mothers for the childish behavior. Tsukune tries to stop Mocha, but she kicks him, and he lands up between Tsurara's legs and his hands at Kurumu's mom's melons, which was the most unexpected highlight of the day, yet what we all wanted to see. Somehow, Yukari's parents end up saving the day and rebuild the entire place through magic, making the mothers apologize to each other. The girls are disappointed in their mothers and urge them to stay out of their love affairs. Then the mothers spot Saizo's dad Gonzo, who is nothing like he used to be, making the hot mommies faint. Later, they urge their daughters to actually bring a boyfriend next time instead of lying to them. Tsukune and Mocha are glad that they didn't have their parents going crazy around them like that, and they prefer each other no matter how their parents act. When they begin to get closer, making the boy think that he's about to get his first kiss, Mocha bites his neck again, drinking his blood. Yukari sees Tsukune when they enter school, but he runs after Mocha, leaving Yukari behind. Kurumu squeezes Yukari into her balloons, saying that he is not attracted to her because she is just a kid. Later, in class, Yukari sees how Tsukune looks at Mocha. She sees herself in the mirror and wants to have bigger bazongas. Then she takes out a dress so she can wear it to attract him. On the other hand, Mocha is drinking Tsukune's blood again, and our boy is definitely enjoying it. While Yukari is hidden, Kurumu comes in fighting Mocha. Yukari notices that she clearly is just as flat as Earth and she has to do something about that. She runs to the nurse's room and talks to herself that one day she will be grown too, like the other girls. Suddenly the nurse comes out, admitting that she overheard her and introduces herself as Mako Yakumaru. She assures her that she can help her in looking grown up, and she just has to trust her. A while later, Yukari opens her eyes and goes outside. All the boys are looking at her with their tongues out. She feels a little weird and enters her classroom and nobody is able to recognize her. Even her own friends, she somehow manages to convince them through her magic that she is in fact Yukari. Then she looks at a reflection of herself, and it is a grown-up girl in front of her, with her clothes barely fitting her. After looking at her new body, she thanks the nurse for changing her. Later she goes on to take a bath with Mocha. They both strip down and Yukari is amazed looking at her body, while she admits that she always used to look at Mocha's body because her skin looks smooth. Then she rubs herself on Mocha's melons, which makes Mocha believe that she in fact is Yukari. Later, Mocha plans to take Yukari for lingerie shopping, since Yukari never used to own some. The next day, the four of them go to buy some lingerie for Yukari, but Kurumu and Mizori still couldn't believe that it's Yukari. Till then, Mocha finds some good pairs for Yukari, according to her size, since she's a grown-up woman now. The next day when Yukari goes to school, everyone is treating her like a real deal finally. Boys follow her around as if they're dogs, and she's a fresh piece of steak. Although one of the teachers is sad, how her little unripe fruit is all plump now. Well, somebody's gotta take her round to PDF jail. Yukari goes to the nurse's room, and the nurse admits that there's in fact no one hotter than her right now. Then Yukari steps out and sees Tsukune. She jumps on, locking his head in her legs. He instantly gets her off, and when she tries to get close to him, he nervously runs away. Meanwhile, the nurse looks at Yukari with a weird look on her face. Back to Yukari, she's wondering why Tsukune still doesn't give her attention. That's when Miss Nekomone announces the body measurement day, and she's so ready for that. The next day, everyone is waiting in the line for the body measurements. Yukari can't stop thinking about how Tsukune treated her, making her think that maybe she is not as sexy as she was assumed to be. Inside, Ruby is taking all the measurements, and of course, she has to have a long story behind it. Ruby is surprised to see Yukari grow up overnight. Even when Kokoa is spying on them, she's unable to spot Yukari. Soon, she gets dragged out by Ruby since she's a first year. Then the measurements begin, and Mocha is shy to reveal her melons, but Ruby assures her she's definitely not into women. I mean her loss. After her, Yukari gets her bazongas measured, and since they are huge, Kurumu is jealous. Still, it turns out Kurumu's melons are bigger than hers. It's time for Mizori to get her melons measured, but she's busy stalking Tsukune. Anyways, Kurumu gets her height measured, and after hearing her height, Yukari is insecure. Suddenly, Yukari spots the nurse and runs after her, requesting to make her balloons bigger. The nurse calls the girl stupid enough to not realize that these things don't matter. But this is how she finds her prey. She only helped Yukari because she likes to feed on negative feelings from other monsters. Yukari is unable to believe how evil the nurse is. As Yukari feels despair on being betrayed, the nurse feeds on that feeling. She tries to defend herself, but the nurse tells her that she will go back to the way she was if the nurse loses. With that said, the nurse grips Yukari into her tentacles and she passes out. As she's passed out, she thinks about how she always used to think how mature she was for her age. But this very thing proved how she's still dumb, because this way Tsukari would never notice her. Soon Yukari holds her consciousness back and sees her friends around her, and she's back to who she was before. They run back to get their measurements, and Yukari goes in with her normal body, feeling completely normal. After the entire thing is done, Kurumu playfully tries to shame her as she used half-baked magic skills for herself, and she should try harder next time. Yukari happily admits she is happy with the way she is. Kurumu wonders what's up with Yukari, since she would easily get rage-baited, to which Mizore thinks that Yukari is definitely more mature than Kurumu, despite Kurumu having big balloons. This makes Kurumu get furious over Mizore and Mocha. Then Tsukune walks up to them and sees the three hot girls fighting. Yukari pulls on his shirt, asking him to wait for her, making Tsukune blush. Tsukune feels something different about her. Seeing the situation, Yukari seizes the opportunity and gives him a kiss, making the three girls angry with her. While Mizore is cooking her food, a little bit spills on her hand, and out of reflex she freezes the entire thing. As she is about to give up, she thinks about the cooking practicum coming up. The next day, Komiya is lost in the thoughts of girls cooking food and almost ends up chopping Tsukune. But it isn't just Komiya daydreaming, it's everyone including him who are daydreaming to eat what the school mommies have to make. Meanwhile, the Indian teacher teaches the girls about curry, which originates from India. Mocha and Kurumu notice and talk about how their teacher is more fired up than usual today, which the teacher notices and gets furious over. Soon enough, the cooking starts and Kurumu is adding all sorts of potions, including love potions, which would definitely do things for the boys. When Mocha hears about it, she's surprised and then moves to Yukari, who is making green Thai-styled curry. Yukari explains that she has added the entire jungle in the curry. The teacher pops in, tasting Yukari's curry, and then adds more spices in it, not caring what Yukari has to say, and then ends up spilling an entire bottle of spices in it. When Yukari is busy crying, Ruby passes by, carrying spices, flour, meat, basically all the cooking essentials if anyone needs anything. Mocha is stunned to see Ruby playing Miss Apsara, and sure as heck, Ruby has a long story behind it too. Outside the window, Kokoa spies on her sister and then sees the master stalker beside her, Mizore. After getting into an argument with Kokoa, Mizore freezes her as she was about to attack. Her friends notice her and call Mizore in, but she's a bit hesitant. A while later, the boys start enjoying the food. Mocha feeds Tsukune, and Kurumu jumps in, shoving her balloons in his face, urging to try her dish. Yukari comes with her dish too, which clearly needs more cooking. Mizore steps in, saving Tsukune from Yukari's dish and serves her curry, which is frozen in a block of ice. When the other girls see Mizore's dish, they begin to bully her, saying that it's probably not something she should be doing. Out of anger, Mizore freezes all of them and runs away. Back in the kitchen, Kokoa is unfreezed by the Indian teacher. Then the teacher offers her some curry to taste, but Kokoa breaks her dish, refusing to eat, and the Indian teacher is heartbroken. While Kokoa is outside, the teacher changes her form and attacks Kokoa. On the other hand, our girl Mizore sits alone and ponders upon what Mocha told her a while ago. You should embrace life. Mizore realizes that Mocha was right and she should look at how to make her life more positive. She gets up, with an aim to embrace her life. Mizore brings in a lot of food to cook. She begins practicing on and on, even when her food spills, or it freezes, she doesn't give up. Her efforts are noticed by Ruby, who then helps her in cooking and teaching. After practicing for a while, she gets tired and sleeps while dreaming about Tsukune. The next day, while Mocha and her friends are having lunch, they see Mizore is missing and decide to pay her a visit to her dorm. That's when Kokoa comes in with curry in her hand, and her complexion makes everyone think that they're probably featured on an episode of The Simpsons. Kokoa apologizes for her behavior to her sister, but Kurumu sees something is wrong with her because Kokoa would never do something like that. She's clearly under hypnosis. Later, the boys regret not tasting Kokoa's curry, and when he turns on the tap, curry flows out of it. A while later, everyone is going crazy for curry, and Miss Apsara looks a little too happy for how things are turning out. Meanwhile, Mizore is carrying her food to the school, hoping she's not too late. When she sees everyone being yellow approaching for her curry, she knows something is not well. She freezes them and makes a run inside the school, where everyone is attacking her with curry plates. Mizore notices that even Ruby is under hypnosis, but of course, she always has a long story behind everything. She runs to the rooftop and finds Tsukune there, but her entire friend group is also under curry hypnosis, with Tsukune's lips swollen as if he got his filler done by Kylie Jenner. They all smell curry, and soon they all corner Mizore. That's when Miss Apsara shows up. Noticing that Mizore is not under hypnosis, she changes her appearance, saying how badly she wanted everyone to try the authentic curry in a world full of fake curries. Behind Mizore, Tsukune attacks her and insists on handing her the curry she made. Mizore takes out some curry, which makes Miss Apsara lose her mind, as she yells at Tsukune to not eat it. She thinks that this is a disgrace to curry, but Tsukune's reaction says otherwise. He gets back to his original face, saying that this is the best thing he has ever had. Miss Apsara is unable to handle that and begins to attack her and Tsukone. Amidst all of that, Mocha's seal is removed, and Miss Apsara is about to attack her, but Mocha breaks her plate the same way Cocoa did and throws her away on a concrete ball. As Tsukone is trying to help everyone with Mizore's curry, the ball Miss Apsara landed on begins to crack, flowing the entire school with curry. After the school is cleaned up, Mizore brings her dish to the school, which makes everyone go crazy for her cooking. Kurumu wonders what magic spell she put up, but Mizore admits that she didn't put any magic spell, but it was just love showing up in her cooking. Somewhere at night, the Wraith of Sanuki, the Sea Monk of Owa, the Ghost Brat of Io, and the Goblin of Tosa have conquered Shikoku. After that, they are going to make their way into Kansai, and they go like hip hip hooray. The next morning, in a school bus, all students are taking a trip, while Ruby is their tour guide today. And well, as expected, she got a whole long story behind it too. The guys are drooling over Ruby while Mocha is drooling over Tsukune. Cocoa follows them on her bicycle, but the school bus catches speed, leaving Cocoa behind. When they reach their destination, Miss Nikomoni strictly forbids them to show their monster identities. Meanwhile, Kurumu hopes to be the main lead in the story with Tsukune, but Mocha wants to spend some time alone with him too. What shocks them is a fatty chewing on raw fish, and they assume that guy is also on a school trip. Finally, Cocoa has reached behind them too, but gets flattened by another school bus. In the souvenir shop, Mocha is left alone while the girls have completely surrounded Tsukune. She picks up a skeleton keychain, and her friends tell her that it's a bad choice. Out of embarrassment, she runs outside, accidentally bumping into two men. They're about to get angry, but seeing a babe like Mocha, they melt and let her go. The two men were with the four guys who just conquered Shikoku. Cocoa finally reaches the souvenir shop and admires the same keychain her sister did. Suddenly, she also bumps into the same men and they yell at her. Well, they were responsible for their yelling. Cocoa made sure of that. In Mitsumi Inn, Tsukune gets carried away by Kurumu and Mizore, leaving Mocha alone. Later, Kurumu and Yukari sit stripped down in a hot spring, while Kurumu remarks that it would be more fun if it was with boys. She needs a weeb so bad. Then Mocha comes and sits with them in the hot spring while Cocoa spies on them. As she is making a plan, she gets spotted by Miss Nekomone, and she begins to chase after Cocoa to deport her back to the campus. Keep it in mind that both of these hot ladies are barely dressed, making us wish we were there with them. After Mocha leaves the hot spring, Kurumu and Yukari feel the hot spring feel okay again. But suddenly, the water becomes freezing cold and then they see some ice cubes in it which were being poured by Mizore so she could join them. Kurumu throws her away in another lake. A while later, Mocha pulls Tsukune in a corner and asks if he wants to meet her after the lights are off. No man sleeps on an offer like that. Meanwhile, Kurumu changes into an outfit that would give any man a nosebleed. Yukari and Kurumu start bickering over night suits and see Mizore preparing an ice bed for herself. Well, she gets kicked out again. Later at night, when all the girls are sleeping, Mocha escapes to meet Tsukune, and Kurumu decides to keep an eye on her. When she meets Tsukune, he wonders if Mocha is not enjoying the school trip. She tries to convince him that this is not the case, but as he insists, she ends up telling that she has not been spending time with them, which is making her sad. But just as they are about to have an intimate moment, they get interrupted by the four goons from earlier that day who take Tsukune as a hostage. The three of the girls reach them too, and the goons end up escaping with Tsukune. Behind them, Ruby guides them to wear something modest, since she has seen how human men act. When the girls reach to rescue Tsukune, their outfits are something a nun would wear if she was feeling sexy. The fight is going to be fair as it will be 4 against 4, since the goons want to take out Yokai Academy from the way to conquer the nation. As the goons attack, for the first few minutes they are able to control the girls. But soon enough, Kurumu attacks the fatty in his face, grinding her thighs on his cheeks. Mizore is able to take out the fire monster by freezing him, and our girl Yukari is able to beat up the shorty just by hitting him in the head with his pan. Behind them, Mocha secretly tries to help Tsukune escape, but the masked guy spots them. The masked guy attacks her by reeling her clothes by a hook, and her skirt strips off. But Mocha has had enough of the masked man getting in the way of her love plans with Tsukune. She attacks him in a way that his mask breaks off and his face is revealed, and it looks exactly the same as the mask was wearing. He miserably falls to the ground and calls for the heavy hitter as his last resort. The heavy hitter walks in, and it is no one other than Cocoa. The group doesn't take her seriously and begins to walk away as they will get late for breakfast. Cocoa is about to hit them with a hammer, but accidentally Tsukune removes Mocha's rosary, and the real vampire gets out. With just a blow, Mocha hits her sister into the air since she has been acting up. The four goons are now scared for their life, and then they run away with their crowd while they apologize. Back on the trip, Kurumu, Yukari, and Mizore visit the shrine which is for marriage and love, while Mocha takes Tsukune away with her. As they are about to have some time alone, the four goons with their crowd show up again, but this time they are here to submit themselves to her. They all bow down to her and begin to take pictures of them, and she gets nervous and chomps on Tsukune's neck. Tsukune visits his mom Kasumi on his free day. She is surprised to see him and welcomes him inside and pours some tea for him. Someone knocks on the door again and his mom goes to check it. Tsukune hears a scream and goes to check it out. It turns out Mocha is there to visit him, and his mom couldn't believe that he could pull a baddie like her. Mocha visits Tsukune's room. While he's embarrassed, he also thanks her for visiting him on her free day. She admits that she wanted to see his parents too, but she's worried if she is imposing a little too much. He assures her that's not the case, and accidentally falls on her on the bed. As he's laying down on her, he grabs something on his bed, incredibly soft, and it's making a noise. Well, it is no surprise. It is Kurumu, who had been hiding under his blanket for a long while. She immediately jumps on him and grabs him in her oranges. That's when Mizore reveals herself from his wardrobe, who had been waiting to meet Tsukune's parents too. As if that wasn't enough, Yukari comes in from his window too. Meanwhile, his mom is shaking at the thought of his girlfriend coming to meet her, but just as she opens the door of his room, she sees 3 more girls and begins to yell at him. In a separate room, he tries to calm his mom down, while the girls realize that they have put Tsukune in a bit of trouble. On the other hand, Kokoa is beating all the truck drivers on her bicycle as she cycles like a literal plane. She's definitely on her way to see her sister. Back to Tsukune, he's trying to take a shower when Kurumu and Mizore interrupt him with their love proposals for him. Just as Mizore is about to force him to have a baby with her, Yukari walks in and accidentally pulls down Kurumu's towel. Kulsumi is on the phone with her husband, telling how Tsukune brought the whole brothel home and needs some education before he bangs a girl. That's when she sees the entire girl gang running around the house in swimsuits and faints. Right then, Kyokyo visits too, and sees the half-naked girls with Tsukune. She introduces herself as his big sister, while they're literally just cousins. Kyokyo tries to convince his mom that it's normal, and it just proves he's growing up alright. But she sees how Tsukune is unable to make the decision who his girlfriend should be, so Kyokyo puts a test to prove who loves him the most. Meanwhile, Kokoa is going over crazy speeds, making the guys with hot cars feel like they are driving someone's Ford. The girls start putting their cases forward in front of Kyokyo and introduce themselves. When Yukari is asking about her dream, she says that she wants to make love to Tsukune and Mocha at the same time. Well, that's not a very nice family meeting. Then Mocha introduces herself and accidentally says that Tsukune was her first. It sends Kusumi into another fainting episode while Kurumu and Mizore begin to bicker again over the love of their life. Tsukune urges them to take this matter outside, and they all run outside. While the girls start to fight like the monsters they are, and after a while everything starts to come down to the ground, causing ruins. Kyokyo is worried even if they are still humans, as she doesn't know the truth about them. And Yukari tries to stop them, but they literally throw her away, which makes her mad. And that's how the fight gets more intense, making Kyokyo worried. Meanwhile, Kokoa has passed a literal train on her bicycle with the speed she is going. Inside, Mocha takes care of Kusumi as she wakes up. Mocha begins to apologize instantly for coming unannounced and causing nothing but trouble. But Kusumi gets up and wonders if her name is Mocha Akashiya, because her son has been mentioning about her in every phone call and how he wants his mom to meet his really special friend Mocha. Hearing that, Mocha gets emotional and her eyes get moist as Kusumi thanks her for visiting. On the other hand, the girls are furious as they are about to unleash another battle. But Mocha chimes in and hugs Tsukune. That sight makes the 3 of them angry and they jump in their direction to attack Mocha. But Mocha removes her rosary and the girls realize they have been baited. In just a moment, Mocha throws them away with a kick. Then she turns to Tsukune, saying that it's because of his indecisiveness. The girls are fighting amongst themselves and urges him to make a decision soon. Suddenly, Tsukune's phone rings and on the other end of the phone is Ko. Meanwhile, the strawberry girl, aka Kokoa, is being chased by the police to stop. The next morning, Ruby grabs the girls back to the school van since they have caused a lot of commotion. Kusumi asks Mocha to take care of her son and then sends them away. The girls have their free passes revoked too. Still, Mocha and Tsukune sit together as she grabs him close and drinks his blood once again. Back at Tsukune's home, Kyokyo wakes up, scared for Tsukune after the fight she saw between the monster girls. Kusumi assures that she probably had a dream like that and she should chill out. Suddenly, the doorbell rings and Kusumi goes out to check who it was, and it turns out Kokoa has finally arrived, but everyone has left. Ruby is cleaning the school premises, while she thinks of the Yokai Academy students who have kept her here. And behind that she of course has a long story once again. As she is lost in her daydreaming, Tsukune pops up, making her wonder if he would ever look in her direction in a loving way. But Mocha, Kurumu, Mizore and Yukari show up, hugging Tsukune instantly. Ruby is disturbed by their presence, so she decides to speak her mind and tell them that their skirts are really short and their buttocks are always exposed. They should not wear such short skirts, and she knows the reason why they are wearing these. It is to seduce Tsukune. The girls protest that Ruby is trying to do the same thing too, and Ruby takes off the apron she was wearing and it reveals a very modest dress. But it looks kinda nerdy. Ruby reveals she is going to be the dress code monitor from now on, and they have to wear skirts that are 10 centimeters below the knee, shocking the girls and Tsukune. Oh no, that is torturous for us weebs too. The next day, after Nekomone is done with her class, she hears everyone talking about Ruby's new dress code and how she is old-fashioned. Nekomone realizes that she is screwed because that's what she always wears, short skirts. Later, in the school store, Nekomone is shopping for herself and feeling absolutely bonita, well more than just bonita. But soon enough she gets schooled for choosing such revealing outfits as a teacher who is supposed to influence students and walks out disappointed. On the other hand, while the girls talk about Gine, he introduces himself as the club president of the Academy newspaper club. As he was about to give up on his dream, the girls gave him hope to stay motivated again. But when he looks at our boy Tsukune, he wonders what does Tsukune even do that is so special that he gets all the hot girls. Later, a teacher, Ririko, who teaches math, looks at Mocha and remembers what she did to her, getting drawn to flashbacks. She dismisses the class and urges them to complete their homework. On the terrace of the school, Mocha is tied up against the pole when Tsukune comes in to rescue her. She is taken hostage by Ririko, who has a leash in her hand. Well, take me as your hostage, ma'am. Suddenly, a cat lady comes in to save the day, fighting Ririko, saying forcing students to study is wrong. Soon enough, the cat lady defeats Ririko, assuring Tsukune he is safe, urging him to take Mocha away with him. But Ririko slashes her buttocks, revealing a cat's underwear, and she runs away, trying not to expose her identity and urging the teacher to stay away from students and causing unnecessary trouble. Coming back to Kokoa, she somehow reaches back school after she cycled all the way to Tsukune's home. Suddenly, a group of men pass by, throwing Kokoa on the ground, and she falls on Koa. Well, lucky Ko, he gets stuck on her underwear. The next day, Mocha sucks on Tsukune's blood and feels a fruity taste, since he had been drinking juice. After that, she tastes milk, and that's just how it goes. One day, he smells really bad, so she doesn't even suck his blood. Even vampires can smell your smelly pits. Use some deodorant, weebs. A small catch-up, well, traumatizing one too. Yukari finds her pet dead, the one who was there with her in every time. Coming back to Yokai Academy, where Ruby is checking the length of the skirts. 3 girls who are wearing short skirts are stopped by her, and then when they try to pass into the school, they get electrocuted by Ruby. Gine realizes that he has to do something or he will be having no scoops. He calls Ruby in a private place and tells her to stop with the dress code, but she realizes that he is saying that because he has no opportunity to take pictures of girls. She knows how to shut him up. She gets closer to him and then says that she will have a photo shoot with him, and he's convinced enough. Later on, Ruby is on to schooling teachers as well. The next day when she is cleaning the premises of the school, Tsukune and his friends arrive and they have a long skirt on, which makes her delighted. But suddenly the wind blows, exposing their underwear, which makes her mad. As she is about to leap on them, she trips and falls, revealing her sexy underwear. They can't believe that someone who wears underwear like that was moral policing them. With tears in her eyes, Ruby explains that everyone was all over Tsukune, making her feel left out. He assures her that she is still his friend even if she is not their classmate. Ruby finally feels seen, and Gine pops up, pushing Tsukune on Mocha, removing her rosary. Gine finds her hot and blurts it out, which makes Mocha angry and she kicks him away. Meanwhile, Kokoa sees her actual older sister and runs to hug her. At night, Ruby changes her outfit and steps into an eerie office, reporting to a cloaked man who is the director that she didn't observe anything that wasn't ordinary. He reveals Ruby's actual job, to protect the Yokai Academy from merging into the human world, which could bring about a huge chaos. He thanks her for her services, and still apologizes to her for giving her odd jobs around the entire academy. She doesn't mind it, as his words are enough to make her feel amazing. Kokoa watches the documentary of the real Mocha excitedly when Ko comes to her and they come up with their new plan. The plan consists of stealing the rosary to get her big sister back. But when she runs to the class, it turns out the entire class has gone for a ski trip and are already on their way, imagining how they will be spending their trip with their beloved Tsukune. As they reach the inn, they are surprised by Mizora's mum, and it turns out that it is Mizora's hometown. Nekomone reveals that Mizora's mum let them stay here for a cheap price. Well, I would check the room for cameras at that cheap price. Mizore and her mom have a plan prepared regarding the groom, Tsukune. Meanwhile, Kokoa is dragging her cycle through the snow and finds a shortcut through the icy slopes to reach there. Coming back to the group, Ruby is a ski instructor today, and of course she has a long story behind it, and currently she's working for the director. Mocha and Tsukune stand on the cliff, looking at the beautiful snowy mountains, echoing their voices. Suddenly, a long echo is heard. Right away, Kurumu and Yukari crash on our poor guy Tsukune, who is not so poor because anyone would give up anything to be touched by Kurumu's balloons. Yukari and Kurumu begin to bicker over who is Tsukune going to teach skiing, body shaming each other. Mocha chimes in too, fighting over Tsukune, but suddenly Mizore comes in between them and grabs Tsukune by the collar and drags him along with her. Just as Kokoa reaches, she gets smashed into Mizore's beautiful buttocks and gets thrown to another corner. Later, Mizore gets back to her mother as all preparations are in place. She wonders where Tsukune is and Mizore lifts up a bag, but Tsukune is nowhere to be found. It turns out Tsukune is left in the woods and Mocha finds him. And well, Mocha is found by Kokoa, and instantly Kokoa reaches to grab her rosary. But just as Kokoa begins to grab it, it just doesn't come off, making her wonder how Tsukune manages to take it off. She begins to yell at him to help her take it off, but her yells cause disturbances and an avalanche starts heading for them. On the other hand, Mizore is looking for Tsukune to grab him in her arms. Meanwhile, Mocha gets up from the snow and she's unable to find Tsukune and Kokoa, making her wonder if they have fallen off a cliff. Back to the group. Kurumu, Yukari, Ruby and Nekomone sit in water, enjoying their time talking about the stalker Mizore. Just as that is mentioned, Sarara comes in and sits in the water with them, and it becomes freezing cold. Sarara begins to stare at them and Kurumu feels uncomfortable. Urgently Mizore arrives with Mocha, saying that Kokoa and Tsukune fell to the bottom of a ravine. On the other hand, Kokoa wakes up, and Tsukune breaks it to her that they've fallen in a pit. Kokoa, being herself, gets out of the cave but they hear a loud growl, which makes Tsukune take the upper hand and take her back to the cave. Meanwhile, the team has started their search, with Sarara and Mizore going to search for Tsukune. And well, they promise to force him, not just in the right way, so Mocha decides to follow them. In the cave, Kokoa and Tsukune sit tightly before he throws the question on her why she hates him. She explains that her sister is always choosing him over her, as he can easily take off her rosary but she can't. Suddenly, she faints, as she is feeling a little too cold, so Tsukune, in order to warm her up, takes off his shirt and begins to lean against her. On the other hand, Ko is worried for Kokoa, and he hears a growl. It is a Yeti, who is at the entrance of the cave, about to attack Tsukune and Kokoa. But Mizore shows up, defending him, urging him to make a run for his life, while Mizore realizes that the monster is really strong. As he's running, the Yeti follows up, and when he is about to give up, Mocha shows up and he accidentally once again removes her rosary, revealing her true form. She kicks the monster in the butt and sends him flying. Ruby, Kurumu, and Yukari reach Tsukune, while Kokoa is still in his arms. She tries to reach for the rosary, but Mocha stops her and takes her rosary and puts it back on. The moment she puts it on, she faints and Tsurara catches her, calling her a formidable opponent. Then they begin to talk about the Yeti, and it shows up again, reminding Mizore that it's actually her biological father. Tsurara then takes her clothes off, just by her shoulder, and then explains that the Yeti was just trying to guide them towards a safe way and they totally misunderstood him. After a while, the school kids leave, thanking them for having them and apologizing to Mizore's father. Just as the bus leaves, Mizore's father takes off his Yeti costume, revealing himself as a handsome young Delph. In the bus, Mocha feels worried for Kokoa after the last incident, but it turns out she has been cycling besides the bus all along as Tsukune was trying to assure Mocha. That's when Kurumu bounces her melons on Tsukune, with Yukari following up, but Mizore thinks that he should be in love with her because he has now met her parents too. But with Mocha being there, she confesses her love for him and chomps on his neck once again. Deshi enters the school grounds, while other girls start making fun of her, calling her stupid and pathetic. As she walks ahead with her head down, she realizes how she used to be a top officer at the security committee, but after the stuff that went down in the committee last year, everything sucks for her. Now she has been feeling like everyone hates or rejects her. Just then, a man calls her. This is the most attractive voice she has ever heard, and she turns around to find a handsome man looking at her. Thinking that things may not be that bad, she asks what he wants. The man uses his seductive voice and informs that he is a new student and wants to know the directions, and sweetly expresses his feelings that he loves her. Deshi's eyes sparkle with a foreign emotion as she tells him that he can even have her soul if he wants, making the man smirk. The teacher announces that they have a new transfer student in their class, and tells the previous guy to introduce himself. The guy passes a smile, saying that his name is Kataro, and he is thrilled to meet them all. All the girls in the school let out screams of affection, finding Kotaro sweet and handsome. Kurumu scoffs at the back, saying that she still prefers Tsukune over this guy, as Mizore also adds that she finally has something in common with Kurumu. Yukari also adds that her vote will always be Tsukune's. Mocha suggests they stay relaxed since it is not a popularity contest, but seeing her, Kurumu announces that Mocha might be into the new guy. Mizore laughs, mentioning that it means one less rival for her, but Mocha tells them that she thinks Tsukune is the one for her, and nothing can change that. Hearing that, Tsukune turns to look at her as they keep gazing at each other. Kotaro suddenly stubs Tsukune's feet and apologizes. At break time, some of the girls from their class come looking for Kotaro and offer to help him. He thanks them using his attractive voice and suddenly turns sweet, saying that he has no friends here and would love to be around them, and adds a whispered "I love you." Something changes in the girls' eyes as they all start calling Tsukune their master. Meanwhile, in the dining hall, Mocha suggests that they should find a new series for their club this month, to which Kurumu and Yukari start arguing that their idea is better. Mizore suddenly intervenes with her idea. Mocha calmly sets them aside, saying that they will discuss it at the club meeting today. As they finish their lunch, Yukari trips over something, but before she could fall, Kotaro holds her and says that he needs a bunny like her on his side and slides in a whispered "I love you." Yukari agrees, giving in to his spell while thinking about why she can't move her body on her own. Later, during their PE unit, Tsukune falls down and embarrasses himself as Mizore spies on him, thinking how cool he looks while falling down. Just then, Kotaro's voice interrupts her. She changes her behavior and calls him off, saying that she does not have time to deal with him. Kotaro does not stop and says that he knows she is sweet and wants someone to love her underneath this facade. Mizore asks if he is stalking her, but the guy tells her "I love you" and unwillingly takes Mizore under his spell as well. The girl keeps stopping herself, but nothing works as she only follows him, calling him master. On the other side, Mocha and Kurumu try to lift the ball holder. They lose their balance and the balls go flying out of the holder. Kurumu runs after the balls, and as she stands up, Kotaro calls her. She turns around and asks what's wrong, but he starts saying how he knows she is a sweet and kind girl underneath and wants to have someone by her side. Kurumu scoffs and moves ahead. Suddenly, he holds her hand and stops her. She angrily tells him to let go, but Kotaro hushes and says "I love you," getting her in his trance as well. Just then, Mocha comes running up to her and asks what's wrong, but the other girl keeps on staring at the guy. Kotaro gets brave and says that he wants a powerful vampire by his side to win everyone over, and tries the same tactic on Mocha. Mocha tells him to stay away, but Kotaro continues saying "I love you" to her until her body gives in and she starts following his instructions. She screams for Tsukune to help, but could not do anything. Kokoa enters the school screaming for her co-buddy. She sees the girls offering to share their lunches with the new guy and thinks how gross this is. She keeps on calling her co-buddy, asking where he went when he is supposed to serve her like a loyal subject. Tsukune looks at his friends all fawning over the new transfer student and thinks about how friendly they are being with him. Tsukune tries to call Mocha when he finds all the girls surrounding Kotaro in a weird protective way. He moves to stop her, but Deshi stops him, saying that it's her duty to keep Kotaro from lowlifes like them. Tsukune finally understands the situation as he goes to Gina and asks for her help, but to no avail as Gina also gets into Kotaro's trance. The next day, Kokoa enters the school again to find no one in the hall, instead seeing many posters of Kotaro's concert. In the other hall, Kotaro sings in his seductive voice, while Mocha and the others wear revealing clothes to cheer for him, and the other students sing along with him. Tsukune tries to stop him, but Bella stops him and starts hitting him for causing disruption. Kokoa enters the hall and reaches Kotaro on the stage. Mocha sees this scene and moves to help Kokoa and to stop Kotaro. The manipulator, on the other hand, tries his tactics on Kokoa as well, but repeatedly fails. Soon enough, Mocha covers her ears, but the evil man sees that as an opportunity to manipulate both sisters together until Tsukune jumps in to stop him and takes the rosary from Mocha's neck away, revealing her other side. The other Mocha wakes up as Koka screams that her sister is awake. She finally kicks Kotaro, saying that his lousy tricks won't work on her. The vampire lets go of the evil spell as everyone gains consciousness, and the evil guy transforms into Koka's co-buddy. The other Mocha tells her sister to thank Mocha because she tried to help her even when she had no control over her body, and then transforms back into her other self. Everyone cheers for her as Tsukune hugs Mocha tightly. Tsukune's mother tells Kyoka to bring rice balls to him, which means that Kyoka has to enter the yokai school. She tries to tell her auntie that Tsukune's school gives her weird vibes and she's not sure why he goes there in the first place, but his auntie tells her that it is important Tsukune eats these rice balls since they are beneficial. With that, Kyoka starts her journey toward the school. She passes through the jungle when Kokoa comes running toward her on a cycle. Kokoa screams, telling her to get away from the front, but soon enough both of them collide, resulting in a swap-up of the similar-looking boxes that they were holding. Kokoa yells at Kyoka for just standing there, but her co-buddy reminds her that they're getting late for their important task. Kokoa understands and says that they must reach the school quickly because she finally found the item that could bring her sister back. Kyoka gets up, thinking about whether the bat on Kokoa's shoulder really talked to her. She takes the swapped box and thinks about taking the rice balls to Tsukune and finding out what type of school he goes to. She reaches the school, admiring the European Gothic architecture of the building, then promises herself to see what really goes on in her favorite cousin's school. Kyoka enters the school and sees Tsukune walking with Mocha. She tries to reach him, but Kurumu reaches him first in a maid outfit and asks if this is how girls in the human world dress up. Just then Yukari yanks her away, telling her to stop trying to score. Then Mizore comes along, fighting Yukari for Tsukune's attention. Looking at this scene, Kyoka hides away, asking herself why these girls are fighting for Tsukune's attention. She concludes that this must be an adult school and these girls are sex workers, and this is the only explanation why they're surrounding her cousin. She then starts thinking how she can never compete with these cute girls. Suddenly a voice calls her master. Kyoka tells the voice she is nobody's master, but then looks down to find a small creature holding a mirror instead of the rice balls. She asks what happened to the rice balls. On the other hand, Kokoa looks at the rice balls before her. She grits her teeth in anger as her ka-buddy tells her how delicious the food is. The tiny lady introduces herself as Lilith and then tells Kyoka that she is the owner of the mirror and she will complete her wishes. Kyoka does not believe her and asks her, saying that this is all a drama that she used to watch in her school. But Lilith teleports them into the village. Kyoka still remains confident that the school is using elaborate props to convince her. Lilith understands that her new master must be an ordinary human. She thinks that the only way to gain her trust is to show her the reality and goes away to find 3 boys looking at Mocha's pictures. She makes them see their faces in the mirror, and a striking light reflects from it, turning them into their real monstrous forms. She takes the mirror to show it to Kyoka, but Kyoka still tells herself that it's all a drama. She shakes her hand, saying that she only wanted to see what really goes on in this school and nothing more, but now she's stuck in a theater. Lilith asks if that is what she wants, and goes inside the school, leaving Kyoka there. Kuromu and Yukari are coming back to school after collecting snacks for their club meeting, when Lilith forces them to watch the mirror, which turns them into their own true selves. Inside the school, Tsukune helps Mocha in the library and asks what's taking the others this long. Suddenly, the door bursts open and reveals Ruby wearing her patrol outfit. She tells them that she's on campus duty since there is an ongoing problem in the school. Suddenly, the door opens and Jin, in his monstrous form, enters and jumps on Mocha, asking what color of underwear she's wearing today. Tsukune tries to stop him, saying he's even worse than usual. They both come outside to find the school filled with different kinds of monsters. Ruby tells them that someone has stolen Lilith's mirror from their magic items inventory. The mirror reflects the inner monsters that everyone usually hides. Mocha asks if she knows who stole it, to which Ruby describes that the thief is a young girl with 2 pigtails on the sides, wearing a uniform, with an ugly bat on her shoulder. Both of them understand that she's obviously talking about Kokoa. On the other side, Kyoka tries to forget what's happening right now. She keeps telling herself that it isn't real and it's all made up. Just then, a voice calls her, saying that she smells like human meat. She turns around to find a half-serpent, half-human monster. On the other side, Ruby tells Mocha that their culprit has been found, but it seems like a human girl with short black hair has Lilith's mirror. Mocha understands who that could be and runs to find Kyoka. Tsukune looks around for Mocha, realizing that she must have slipped away somewhere. Just then, his eyes land on Kurumu. He tells her that he's happy that she's normal, but suddenly she starts undressing in front of him, saying that she's feeling hot. Yukari tries to do the same, and in time, all of the girls in the school start trying to jump on Tsukune. The serpent attacks Kyoka, but Mocha comes in time and protects her. Kyoka, on the other hand, tells Mocha to stay away because she cannot trust her, saying that she is also a monster who goes to this school and she has been betraying Tsukune and her. Mocha tells her that she never thought of hurting Tsukune's cousin and that she has never been anything but sincere and genuine with him. Just then the serpent tries attacking again with a whole army behind her. Lilith, along with the mirror, comes behind her. Mocha asks Kyoka to grab the mirror from behind, but she refuses. She tells her that in order to save Tsukune, she needs to work along and be the woman that wants only good for Tsukune. Kyoka agrees to help. Mocha fights the monster army while Kyoka grabs Lilith. Mocha tells her to show the mirror to her, and soon the other Mocha unleashes. The other Mocha understands what her sister must be trying to do and fights off the army of monsters. Soon the other Mocha tries to catch Lilith, but she sees herself in the mirror instead. The light reflects and 2 Mochas come into being. The sweet Mocha feels weak as the other one tells her to relax until she catches Lilith, who unleashed her true powers by looking in the mirror. The other feels weak as well since their power was collective and now they're separated. Just then Tsukune, along with their other friends, comes looking for them. Lilith asks how they got off under the spell. Kurumu tells her that Tsukune made them realize they don't need to hide their monsters. The others work together to fight off Lilith and finally defeat her. Ruby comes along and helps the two Mochas turn into one, while also arresting Kokoa. Mocha thanks Kyoka for trusting her. Just then, a loud voice interrupts them. They all look up to find the Great Barrier breaking away. The Great Barrier breaks down as the other side of the sky becomes visible. Kurumu mentions that they already defeated Lilith, but Ruby tells them that the force of the monstrous energy broke the rosary that maintained the Great Barrier, and if that barrier is broken completely, not only them but the human world will be attacked by continuous waves of monsters. Kyoka says in worry that they will be eaten by the bad monsters now. Suddenly, Mocha holds her rosary and runs to the barrier. They all run after her. Mocha stands in front of the broken barrier, realizing that it's the same. She turns around to find Tsukune and her friends all worried and looking at her. She tells him to take off her rosary and put it in the place. Tsukune tells her that he won't be able to see her again. She remembers what the other Mocha told her about not being able to protect Tsukune on her own. She hugs Tsukune and places his hand on the rosary. By taking it out, she places it in the place, promising that she will meet him again someday. A week passes after that incident. Kyoka gets back to the human world, and yokai school gets back to normal. The teacher takes their attendance as the other Mocha sits in her old place, surrounded by a grim energy. During break time, they discuss what the next article will be about in their magazine, to which the other Mocha suggests the topic should be kicks and starts demonstrating different kinds of kicks. Tsukune gets sad, missing the previous Mocha, while the other girls wonder if they will ever accept this Mocha in their group. During PE, the other girls all surround Tsukune, asking for his attention. Suddenly, the other Mocha comes along and also starts rubbing Tsukune, asking to get along with them, which weirds them out. Tsukune starts avoiding her as the other Mocha tries following him. Some girls stop her and ask for her signature, declaring that she's a hero who saved them. Kokoa comes to her rescue, saying that they won't be getting anything from her since she is her older sister. The girls get jealous, asking if they can call her older sister too, but the older sister in question gets away while they are busy arguing. She finds Tsukune on the roof, eating his lunch, alone. She takes a seat beside him and asks to take her hand. She tells him that the body is exactly the same as the previous Mocha, but it will be better if he understands that she will never return. It's better to think of her as a phantom now. That saddens him even more as he starts seeing Mocha's sweet face in this Mocha's body. He takes his hand away, then gives it a try. He calls her sweetly like before, but the other Mocha does not respond to him. Soon enough, the other girls come to his rescue, saying that they have to keep him away from her weird energy. Mocha understands and gets away, leaving Tsukune to them. They all wonder what they could do to cheer him up again. Ruby asks the director if something like breaking off a barrier may happen again. The director says how they all should thank Mocha who saved them. She asks why the rosaries were the same. The director smiles sinisterly and says it's because they were made by the same man. That surprises her as she decides to do something with this information. Tsukune's mom invites him back to the house because of the recent earthquake and asks about Mocha. He grimly tells her that she's fine. His mom tells him to bring Mocha back to the house again. When Tsukune reaches his house, he remembers Mocha along the way, which saddens him even more. Suddenly, a rock interrupts him as he finds Ruby from the foot of the stairs. He asks what she's doing here, to which she tells him that she's been helping the director in maintaining the barrier, and now she feels like breaking the rule to help him get back the previous Mocha. The next day at school, the other girls' mothers enter the school for duty calls. They meet their kids as Mizore's mother announces that they will be arranging a wedding for Mizore and Tsukune. That surprises the other two, as they ask why she suggested that. Mizore tells them that she thought this would cheer him up since she can't top the previous Mocha, but it can bring him up again. Kurumu charges in, saying then she will marry him. Soon, the three fairies start fighting while their mothers start fighting each other. One of them suggests to ask for Tsukune's choice, and they all start finding him. Ko-buddy enters their classroom to tell Kokoa that Tsukune has been seen going somewhere in a hurry. The mothers surround him and get the information out of him. On the other side, Tsukune gets on his cycle, keeping the information that Ruby told him in mind. She told him that the three directors who founded yokai school are friends, and one of them is their director, while another one made the rosary for their school in Mocha. She tells him he resides far away from their school, somewhere along the northern barrier, and warns him that no one has been able to come alive off the border. That does not scare him as he tries to go there and save Mocha. The other Mocha stops him in his journey, but he doesn't stop and continues it. She also understands that she will never top the previous Mocha. The bus driver asks if he wants to take Tsukune to the barrier, but he tells him that he needs to do this alone. The driver smiles, saying that he gave the correct answer. Unknown to them, Kokoa looks at his retreating figure, saying that he can't take her older sister away from her. Tsukune rides his cycle into the portal. He realizes that the portal just keeps on going without ever ending. Soon enough he gets to the other side and sees the northern castle standing tall as ever. A string of hope settles into his eyes as he makes his way toward the castle. Suddenly, a flock of bats along with Kobari attacks him, trying to keep him away from the castle, but he ignores them and fights them off. He angrily screams and his eyes turn red for a second. Kobari screams, saying his eyes changed color, and gets scared before running away. Kokoa watches her pet running away and gets angry. Tsukune ignores Kobari and keeps on cycling. Soon enough, Mizora's mom stops him and orders a Yeti to hold him. He asks what she is doing here, to which she says that it's time for them to change their relationship. That scares him, but her mother tells him that she will no longer be Mizora's mom but Tsukune's mother-in-law. She orders the Yeti to take him to the wedding celebrations, away from the castle. He gets confused as to what is happening, but suddenly Mizora comes into view and stands in front between her mom and Tsukune. Her mother asks if she is really going against her and that she is making a big mistake. Mizora yells at her that she is just fulfilling her wifely duties by protecting her husband. Her mother tells her that by protecting him she will get in the middle of Mocha and Tsukune again. Mizora tells her that she knows what she is doing, and if that is what Tsukune wants, she is letting him make the decision and stating that it's a competition between the great women. Mizora's mom declares that it's not in her hands to make a decision and the wedding will take place. Just then Yukari comes along with her parents and says that she will protect Tsukune. Their mothers start attacking each other as the two girls try to stop their mothers from catching Tsukune. The boy forgets his broken cycle and runs toward the castle. Suddenly Kurumu's mother takes him midway and tries taking him away back to the school. He asks why she's doing that, to which she replies that he must marry her daughter and be her son-in-law. Just then Kurumu comes flying and kicks her mother away. She takes him with her and reaches the castle. She tells him to go and do what he wants to do. Kurumu adds that she also misses the other Mocha way more than him because she was her friend. She tells him not to forget her after getting her back and asks if she will remain his top 2. Tsukune tells her that she is never low on his priority list, but until then her mother comes, asking if she's really getting against her. Kurumu turns around, stating that he should go and save Mocha while she saves him. Tsukune turns around and runs inside without even a glance back. That hurts Kurumu as she wipes her tears and faces her mother. The three of them fight their mothers while trying not to cry as the sad Tsukune finally reaches the door. There, he meets Kokoa as she stands in front of him, asking if he has any idea who the man inside really is. He tells her that he is one of the 3 Dark Lords. Kokoa laughs, saying that the man inside is her father. The boy realizes that this must mean that he is Mocha's father as well, which makes sense since he is the one who got her the rosary. Kokoa tells him that their father hates humans, and he will be killed even before saying anything. Tsukune smiles, saying that he's happy she cares for him, but he cares far more for Mocha, and with that he goes inside the door. He greets Mocha's dad, saying that he needs to take the rosary, but the man asks what he thinks he is and tells him to keep away from his place as a filthy human. When he doesn't listen, Mocha's dad attacks him. As he falls on the ground, Tsukune coughs up blood and asks why he hates humans so much. Her father tells him that he gave his daughter a chance to follow her dreams and study alongside humans who were scared of her scary personality by giving her a rosary to hide it. But in the end, the humans were the ones hiding the real monsters. In the end, they all just hurt his daughter. He turns around and repeats what once was said by Tsukune. He reminds him that he said that it's better to have no friends than having a monster as his friend, and asks if he did not say those words. Tsukune gets up, saying that he only felt like it then, but now he's changed, and he wants to see the girl he has feelings for. Mocha's father tells him that the girl he fell for is nothing but a phantom personality of the girl he's been hiding from. Tsukune interrupts him, saying that he is doing this because he cares for both Mochas. The hand he touched before was the same, and there is no difference between which Mocha is better or more likable. Both are the same girl that he fell for. His eyes start glowing as he rises up from his place. Mocha's father remembers that his daughter once gave Tsukune some of her blood. That gives him the energy. They both get into a fearful fight, but soon the real Mocha comes out and catches the defeated-looking Tsukune. She tells her father to stop, because if he wanted to kill him he would have done it in the first place. Tsukune shows him the rosary, saying that he won the fight fair and square. Mocha's father asks if she wants to live in the facade of the other girl, but she replies that this is not her decision to make since there are 2 of them. He goes to attack the rosary, but Kokoa stops him. The castle starts moving, and it collapses. Until then, all of their friends come looking at the rubble. The real Mocha tells Tsukune that she needs just one thing from him and attaches her lips to his neck, drinking his blood. With that, she attaches the rosary and bids him goodbye. The other Mocha comes back as both of them hug each other. Mocha tells him that he kept their promise, but says that she's angry that the other version was acting lovey-dovey with him. Tsukune laughs at the girl he likes and hugs her.